What if I told you a soccer player had played with George Best and with Eusebio and with Johan Cruyff and with Steve Jungle, that he had played against Pele, that he'd once scored 7 goals in a game, that he had played for not one, but 2 one-season wonder teams in the same season, and that he'd won a U.S. Open Cup as a player coach? You wouldn't believe me, but it's all true. And that story is next.
We've got 28 minutes remaining in the first half, and we're scoreless here at the Rose Bowl. That's Cruyff. Was he a dazzler? Oh, what a move. What a move. Centers it. Headed in. Goal. That was Cruyff. And Van Veen headed it in. But you're going to have to look at that again to see the magnificent footwork by Johan Cruyff.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Soccer Rewind, the channel that puts the retro in perspective. I'm your host, Ken Tomash. On this channel, we take a look at a vintage American soccer game, and we talk to somebody with a connection to that game. Could be a player, could be a coach, a broadcaster, a historian, a journalist, and we use the benefit of hindsight to get insight into the teams and the moments and the players that helped shape American soccer culture. Today, we're going to rewind to 1979, and we're going to talk to somebody who had one of the most interesting careers in American soccer history. What if I told you that someone had played with Eusebio, with George Best, with Johan Cruyff, with Steve Jungle, the Lord of all indoors, and against Pele? What if I told you that same person played for 2 one-season wonder teams in the same season? What if I told you he once scored 7 goals in a game and won a U.S. Open Cup as a player coach? All of that happened in the life and career of our guest today. Well, he'll tell us all about it. First, I want to thank all of you who are helping to grow this little bitty channel we've got here. There is an audience for retro American soccer. I'm thankful for it, and I am grateful for each one of you who watch and subscribe and comment and write in. It's really great to see our little channel grow, and what we're building here is kind of special. So I'm glad you're all a part of it. So now we're going to take you back to the summer of 1979. You remember 1979, right? The 70s were just ending and the 80s were right around the corner. Here are a few things that may have stuck in your mind from the year 1979. America's very first space shuttle, Columbia, made its way to Kennedy Space Center. It would make its first flight in 1981, and that ushered in a new era for American space exploration. 1979 also showed us the pitfalls of progress. The meltdown and radiation leak at 3 Mile Island nuclear plant in Pennsylvania took 11 years and more than $1 billion to clean up. Luckily, there were no discernible physical health impacts on plant workers or the public, though the psychological impacts were profound. Almost as bad for you, maybe, might have been another 1979 innovation. McDonald's introduced the Happy Meal. They're still sold today, though in slightly healthier versions, luckily. From fries to fun at the old ballpark, well, Disco Demolition Night at Comiskey Park in Chicago happened in July of 1979. Sounded like a good idea, didn't it? Blow up disco records between games of a doubleheader between the White Sox and Tigers. I mean, what could go wrong? Well, 50,000 fans rioting and tearing up the field, that could go wrong. Still an infamous moment in Chicago sports history. And Michael Jackson released the 7-time platinum album of the year, or Off the Wall was the album. You remember it well. Just 3 days after the game that we're about to look at. And we will get back to talking about walls before today's show is over. Also in 1979, the North American Soccer League was arguably at its peak. Pele had retired 2 years before, but the league had grown to 24 teams. No teams had folded, and only one had moved between 1978 and 1979. And in an effort to keep up with the dynastic New York Cosmos, the Los Angeles Aztecs went and got a superstar. Actually, they got 2. They started with legendary Dutch coach Rinus, who had led Barcelona to glory and Holland to the 1974 World Cup finals. With that hiring, it became almost inevitable that they would then try to go after perhaps the best player in the world at the time. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let us bring in our guest now. He is, as I may have alluded to, one of the most interesting people you will ever meet. I described that career at the outset. He joins us now from San Jose, where he has lived and worked for years. Chris Dangerfield, thanks for being with us on Soccer Rewind.
Thanks for having me, Ken. Sounds like a lot of fun.
I know. Now, it was not at all unusual for English players to come to America, to the NASL in the mid-'70s, but it was pretty unusual for someone to do it at 19. When you came here, you were just a teenager. You turned 20 during that rookie season. Tell us how you came from Coles Hill, Warwickshire to Portland, Oregon, and the expansion Timbers all before you became 20.
Well, at the age of 17, I signed a professional contract with Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Wolves. They're in the EPL right now. And Vic Crow was basically putting a team together at the last minute for a new franchise in Portland, the Portland Timbers. He had a month to do it. And so being from, and he was an ex-Aston Villa coach, ex-Aston Villa player. And so from the Midlands, he started going around and trying to put a team together. He settled on 5 players that came from Wolverhampton Wanderers, the most famous of which is Peter With. And there was also Barry Powell, there was Donald Gardner, myself, and Jimmy Kelly. And we came over on loan. All the players came on loan that came over from England. And so we basically came out for the summer for 3 months to what was going to be a new league. We had no idea what we were getting into. When we got on the plane in Birmingham, it was raining. When we got off the plane in Portland, it was raining. And that happened for about the first 2 weeks. And eventually things settled down. Our first game, we played against Seattle. There was about, 1,100, 1,200 people there. It rained all game long. We lost a heartbreaker 1-0. And we all looked at ourselves in the locker room thinking, what have we got into here? But I tell you what, it was only like a month later. That place was buzzing. It was packed. The people in Portland took us to their hearts. We took them to our hearts. It was a wonderful 3 months.
The next year in Portland, you started almost every game, but at the end of that, the Timbers traded you for Archie Robustoff, saying they wanted an experienced American forward. And at the time, you said you were happy to play wherever, but it felt like you didn't really want to leave Portland at all.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I really liked it and enjoyed the 2 years in Portland. You know, you grow up fast in this game, in the professional game especially. I was a bit naive. As you say, I was 19 when I came over. I turned 20 in the first year. The coach that took over was Brian Tyler. He made me a bunch of promises. I went back to England thinking, this is great, I'm coming back again. And I think just, before the plane hit the runway, I'd been traded to Las Vegas, and that's professional soccer. So I interestingly got a call from the Las Vegas people. Derek Travis is also from the Midlands area. I had gone back and I signed a 1-year contract with Coventry City. I had a great year with them, but once again, I didn't break into the first team. And the difference was that, you're training with the first team, but as I was with the Wolves, and you're not playing with the first team. You're playing on a Wednesday afternoon, or you're playing on a Wednesday evening. And over here, I was playing, in front of big crowds and enjoying every minute of it. And so in talking to Derek, he told me I would start in Las Vegas. They offered me a 2-year contract, as did Coventry City. And I turned down a 2-year contract in the first division in England to go to Las Vegas. Don't know why, but I did.
Which even then, as now, a bit of a strange place for a team. But here we see you in the starting lineup before that first ever game. That number 10 is the great Eusebio, who had the year prior led Toronto to an NASL championship. We see you there on the left. What was it like to play with that guy? Even at his advanced career, at that point, he wasn't exactly the player he had been for Benfica, but he was still a player to be reckoned with, and obviously must have been a real thrill to play with him.
Yeah, first of all, he was a fantastic guy, but it wasn't just Eusebio. Behind him there in that picture is Wolfgang Schonholz,
right?
Bayern Munich, fantastic footballer. We also had Umberto Coelho. We also had Tony de Oliveira from Benfica as well, both of which played in the 68 European Cup final against Manchester United when United scored 1-4-2. George scored that magnificent goal. So we had other players other than Eusebio. And to be fair to Eusebio, he wasn't fully fit. He wasn't the player he used to be. And some people would say that was the way it was with these, I guess, aging superstars that came over to the North American Soccer League. But I would disagree with that, because a lot of them came over and they were fantastic. We'll talk about one later in Johan Cruyff. But there's also certain players who had certain injuries, and Eusebio struggled. He didn't train that much. He just came on for games, and he was towards the end of his career. But I'm telling you, what a fantastic guy. And Las Vegas, interesting place. I mean, we started off on fire. It's a turf field, obviously. Who's that guy chasing Chris Dangerfield? That's a great picture.
Yep.
So it's one of those situations where we started off wonderful, and being Vegas, a lot of people got involved in the front office. There was agents coming in and out trying to bring new players in, and halfway through the season, Derek came to me and said, things have gone a little bit south here. I don't know if I'm going to stay in charge. Team Hawaii wanted you. And Team Hawaii called me early, just at the same time Las Vegas did, because Don Paul was the general manager, and he was the general manager at Portland. And so he wanted me to go to Hawaii, but I turned it down because I didn't want to play for Hubert Vogelsinger, basically. So I didn't want to go there. But halfway through the season, they replaced Vogelsinger with Charlie Mitchell. And so I took Derek's advice and I bailed on Las Vegas and went to Hawaii.
So what was it like playing in Hawaii? You got a wonderful new stadium. It's on the islands. I know you just got back from a vacation in Hawaii, but to play there as a professional, what was that like?
Once again, different. We stayed in these big tall apartments in Aiea, and you could see Aloha, the stadium from where we were located. The guys would get together with the wives and girlfriends, and we'd go off and explore the island. And that's what we did most days. We'd come home and we'd barbecue, and it was so warm that we'd probably go to bed at about 8:30, 9 o'clock after we barbecued. And beautiful place, obviously. There was times when you were on the field after you'd been announced, as they used to do in North American Soccer League style, and the cheerleaders were out there and the referees were out there, and each one of the opposition had been given a lei by a cheerleader. There were plenty of games when there was more people on the field than there was in the stands. And so it was never going to work. Yeah, and so once again, I went back to England, and I was the property, as far as the United States was concerned, the North American Soccer League of Team Hawaii. And I got a message to go and meet the new coach of Team Hawaii, who was a legend in the 1958 and the early Busby Babes, a center back by the name of Bill Folks. Fantastic guy. We sat down, had a cup of coffee, and he said, I've got some good news and bad news. I said, what's that? He said, well, the good news is we'd love for you to come and play with me next year. I said, okay, well, what's the bad news? He says, we've moved the team to Tulsa from Hawaii. I mean, that's a good one, isn't it? If you think about it.
Did you know where Tulsa was at that point?
I have no idea. And no disrespect to Tulsa and to the people, but it wasn't for me. The boss put his arm around me and said, are you sure you want to leave? I said, I got my surfboard ready, buddy. I'm off to California. So we went to the California Surf under John Saul, a great bunch of guys. Once again, some great players in that photograph. And I'd gone from Tulsa to that's the training ground, which was basically surrounded by palm trees in just outside of Newport Beach. Not bad.
But that, again, is something that didn't last. They were in their first season after they had relocated from St. Louis. As these things happen, but they traded you up the I-5 to the Aztecs late in September of 1978. And that will bring us to the 1979 Aztecs that we're talking about now. Now, this is a team that is also full of some really good players as well. And so, Elton John had been a part owner of this team, so he had been around a bit. Alan Rothenberg, who would later be the president of U.S. Soccer and run the 1994 World Cup and helped start up Major League Soccer, was the owner, and he hired Rinus Michels. What did you think of the opportunity to play for a legendary coach like Michels, and what was that like?
Well, it was certainly an eye-opener. I mean, it was a fantastic opportunity for somebody like myself. I mean, I think, so what am I then? I'm 24, just turning 24. And I'm thinking to myself, this is an opportunity to really try and understand and learn the game.
So here we get to the Aztecs. It's late May. The strike is over. You're off to a 5-2 start as a team. You're doing well. And comes the bombshell announcement that the Aztecs have signed Johan Cruyff, who had come out of retirement at age 34. Did you players have any inkling that this was going to happen? Were you surprised? And what was the reaction?
Yeah, there was a little bit of a rumor that obviously Michels and Cruyff have been together all of their career. And it's not father-son, but it's as close as you're going to get. It's almost telepathic at times, but a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And when we thought that he was going to be coming out, and there was always a chance because, as you say, he had sort of retired, and I think he wanted to find a place where he could get away from the limelight in some respects, and certainly the North American Soccer League offered that. He'd offered it for George when he came to Los Angeles as well. Nobody knew him when he was walking down the streets of Hermosa Beach or Manhattan Beach, and he liked that. And for Cruyff, I believe it was just after his family had been kidnapped and he wanted to come somewhere where he knew they would be safe. And he came out to start again. And in true fashion to him, as you get to know him, he came out to grow something here as well. And as a person, as it was with Eusebio and the other guys that you've mentioned, to a man, they would spend as much time to try and improve the game, to help the young players, certainly spend time after training, work with the young American players, which Cruyff did a lot. Is a character, is a student of the game, and he would love a cup of coffee after training, and he would talk to you all day long, as long, in the end, that you agree that he was right. Because he was always right. He was always right. And it usually was, to be honest.
So at this point, you've had Eusebio as a teammate. You've played against Pelé. Now you add Cruyff to that, and you kind of touched on this, but people have surely always asked you over the last 40-something years, what it was like to play with him. But what was it like to train with the guy? What was he like? You mentioned him trying to build something here. That's the stuff that happens that nobody saw except you guys as teammates. What was he like as a teammate, as a just as a day-to-day? His approach to the game. Could you still see that superstar that was in him?
Yeah, he just elevated everybody's game. He wasn't just a cherry on the cake. He was like 2 more layers on the cake with a bunch of whipped cream and then the cherry on top. As far as we were concerned, and certainly as far as the league was concerned, his ability to think ahead on the field and just think through things as tactically as a player with his ability was just unbelievable.
It took a bit for you to get used to each other. You won 11 of the next 21 games after signing him, but coming into the game that we're about to watch, the next to last game of the regular season against Seattle, you and Cruyff had both scored the previous game against Vancouver. It's a Tuesday night at the Rose Bowl against Seattle, a team that was behind you in the standings. They were still a year away from when they would have a really great season. They were a few years past when they had played in Pelé's last competitive match in Soccer Bowl 77. So how were you approaching this game? You've already got playoffs clinched, but it's a good tune-up for that against a Seattle team that also had some good players.
Yeah, they had some really good players. I mean, they had Alan Hudson, Derek Smethurst up front, who scored goals that season. But as normal, John McGrain, who was our sort of stopper at the back, had this ability to take the best player and nullify them, and he did it with Derek in that game. They had Jimmy Neighbor. They had some good players in that team, and not as good as you said as they'd had a previous couple of years before that. In '77, they made the Soccer Bowl. But from my perspective, it's just another game. I wanted to run around as much as I could and try and impress and stay in the team. As you'll learn as the game goes on, for players like Cruyff, and others, it was about trying to keep the momentum going, because in their world, which I quickly found out, and these are the things you learn along the way, is you have to build towards something in the modern game. And from their perspective, it was about this season is going to be over, and then the important season, which is the playoffs, is just about to begin. And so it was just about trying to keep the momentum going in their world.
And that did happen. All right. Let's rewind now to August 7th, 1979 at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Tom Kelly and Dan Avey had the call on TV, a relatively new subscription TV service in Los Angeles. Enjoy the first half. Chris and I will be back in 45.
There he is, Johan Cruyff.
You could call him the franchise. He leads this team in everything, does whatever is necessary. Tonight he will be playing up front. He has played at midfield. He's played on defense when needed. Johan Cruyff, not big physically, but big in presence. He is only 5'9", about 150, 32 years old, out of Holland. Many think he is the best in the world at what he does, and that is play soccer professionally. Johan Cruyff.
Tim Gabriel over there looking on as number 2, John Ryan, gets some last-minute repairs to his Looks like his broken shoelaces. Oh, a little tape around the ankle.
Putting the tape on the shin guard there that they wear under the socks, some of the players do.
The Aztecs have not defeated the Sounders since May 28, 1977 in the Kingdome. I think they're 5-7 overall, and they really have had a tough time with the Seattle side. In fact, Seattle can cause a lot of problems. They scored 9 goals a bit earlier on this season.
Well, translate that to football, that would be 63 points if you gave them 7 for every one.
That's Jimmy Neighbor with the ball, and Johan Cruyff traps it, takes it away at midfield, but Sounders come right back on top, and that's Alan Hudson with it now. On defense, Galindo. Hudson maintains possession. Down the side, in the corner to Cave. Cave being marked in the corner by Carey. Back out to Neighbor. Neighbor and Bobby Sybil, the captain of the Aztecs, in a little tete-a-tete. Sybil tries to tackle him off the ball.
You hear somebody saying, John, that is Colin Bolton, the Aztec goalie, moving John McGrane around. Our microphones are right there. You can hear the Aztec goaltender directing the defense himself, and it is McGrane who is marking Derek Smethurst tonight.
And that was Carey who puts the ball back to the Aztec goalie, Colin Bolton. And Colin Bolton clears it out on the left side, and with it now is Shelton. No score. Contest just underway. Carey down the left side to Larry Hulser. Back to Carey. Whistle. Foul is going to be called against Seattle. It'll be a free kick coming up for the Aztecs. They'll maintain possession at the midfield line.
For those
on the attack. Yes, Dan.
For those of you who are new, 2 45-minute running halves in soccer, and then overtime if necessary to decide the game. And I say if you're new, and I hope you'll pardon us, but for instance, over 1,000 people subscribed to On TV for the first time just yesterday. So new people joining us all the time.
Leo Van Veen to Galindo on the far side. And with it over there, we've got Shelton. Young Dave Shelton tackled off the ball by Steve Buttle. But the Aztecs come back to maintain possession. Rangan in the middle to Van Veen. A little heel kick, give and go to Rangan, who worked his way through the defense. But ever alert there on defense for Seattle was John Impey, number 14. You see Brown, and there's Eddie Kruger, an American player, playing for the Seattle Sounders. No score. Game just underway here at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Tom Kelly and Dan Avey at midfield. Seattle with it. Now the Aztecs, Galindo, captain of the Mexican team in World Cup play from Argentina. Van Veen heads it back out, kicked away from Cruyff, but the Aztecs maintain possession. This is Hulser. Cruyff, he's magnificent, and a little shoving contest there. And it's going to be a foul against Seattle. Johan Cruyff.
He's being marked by Jimmy McAllister tonight, the 22-year-old out of Seattle Prep.
Chipped in, the goal mouth nearly so, knocked away, and it'll be over the goal line and a goal kick coming up for Seattle. He was Rookie of the Year in '77, McAllister, and a real Horatio Alger story here. Here is a homegrown American out of Seattle who has really made his way into the North American Soccer League at this fine level of play. And
back in the Soccer Bowl 2 years ago, and Seattle lost to the Cosmos, and they picked up their title. Pelé gave young McAllister his jersey at the end of the game.
The highest accolade one soccer player can give to another. Actually, it can kind of work both ways. They'll give you your shirt for doing a magnificent job of playing defense or marking him. And also, if you've been pulling at him and jerking him around all night, they'll give you the shirt as if to say, here, you've been pulling at it all night for 90 minutes, I'll give it to you now, and then walk away. So it can work both ways, but I'm sure in the case of Pelé and young McAllister, it was a compliment.
Well, McAllister, his first year in the league, he was an all-star out of Seattle High School. Believe it or not, Seattle Prep High, never even played college soccer. 22 years old, wears number 3 for the Sounders.
There's no score in this contest. Michael Carey of the Aztecs has it. Sends it in the middle to Galindo, back to Carey. Intercepted, but unable to maintain possession was Alan Hudson. Aztecs have it. Van Veen high in the air to try and head it away, but he missed it. And Brown, the Seattle goalie, drops it off. Kruger sends it into the middle to Buttle. And back in the middle for Ryan. Ahead to Hudson. Hudson at midfield. Drops it back on the left side. That's Impey. Back to Hudson. Seattle trying to get their offense started.
I would think, Tom, the Aztecs want to test the Seattle netminder right away because Brown is only the 4th game that he has played in. He's a substitute goaltender, and nobody really knows how good he is. He should find out tonight. He did play a magnificent second half against San Diego. When Ivanov was hurt, he came in and threw 45 minutes or half a shutout at San Diego, and Seattle won 2-0 the other night.
Cave centered that ball in for Neighbor, but it was headed away by the Aztec defense. And the Aztecs Galindo now at midfield. Crosses it over to Bobby Sibbald, who tried to head it down to Ulcer. Seattle intercepting. At midfield, Neighbor. McAllister. Cave. Kruger. Carey back on defense. Runs Neighbor off the ball and intercepts for Los Angeles. 39 minutes remain in this first 45-minute half of action, and we have no score yet in the match here at the Rose Bowl. Seattle and LA. Aztecs are assured of a playoff spot. The Sounders need a couple of victories if they're going to find their way into the wild card situation. We'll run down the playoffs and who's in and who has a chance to get in for you later in our telecast, probably at halftime, Dan.
You see Cliff Brown come 15 yards out of the net just to handle the ball. He'd like to handle it, get the feeling of the game. Normally a netminder would not come anywhere near that far out, but young Mr. Brown, who is another American player in the game out of Georgia, believe it or not, is only 22 years old.
Ryan, right in front of the penalty box area, unable to get the shot away past a good defense by Galindo. Over to Rangen. Rangen on the attack for the Aztecs over the midfield line. Thomas Rangen, part of the Dutch connection. That's to Cruyff. Oh, beautiful. Kind of a volley there, half volley by Cruyff on the go, and he didn't get all of it. And but he may have given Brown a taste of what it might be like a bit later on.
Here's Cruyff trying to get the ball past the former Husky netminder at the University of Washington. So here is Cruyff, the best player in the world, and there's that man, Cliff Brown, 2 years out of college soccer, looking right at him.
Cruyff really didn't get all of that, Dan, but it was enough to get Brown's attention, to be sure. Rangen saves it, but can't maintain possession, and Seattle has it near midfield. Hudson. Hudson is a fine player. He's got 15 points, 2 goals and 11 assists. Sends it across the field to Jimmy Neighbor. Neighbor puts it in the middle. Ryan is marked off the ball and tackled by Rangen, but a whistle and a foul on Rangen. And Seattle will have a free kick coming up.
Well, because of an injury up front, Hudson is playing up front. He normally is a midfielder. So up front, you've got Hudson with 2 goals, Ryan with 11, and Smethurst with 13. So when the ball gets to Hudson, he's not the guy that's going to put it in for you.
In the penalty area and kicked back and out of harm's way, as it were, by Johan Cruyff, who looked at his goaltender, Colin Bolton, and there's quite a mix-up. It looked as though very much that Bridge stepped all over the heel of Van Veen, at least ran up part of the back of his calf, but everything seems to be all right. Cruyff kicked it away, and then he looked at Bolton as if to say, I didn't know whether you were going to come out and get it. And
well, that's the goaltender's fault. The goaltender should yell to him, go ahead and kick it, or let me have it, if he wants the ball to come through.
That's Carey. Back to Galindo.
Of course, the goaltender is facing the play, and on that particular series, Cruyff had his back to it, so was the goaltender's call.
That sideline pass was just too far for Shelton, and it'll be a throw-in now for Seattle. Neighbor flips it in. Hudson. Nice footwork. Hudson drops it back to Buttle. Buttle to the far side. That's Impey. Down the left side to McAllister. Back to Impey. Impey puts it in the penalty area to Ryan. Ryan marked by Rangen, trying to get away. Good defense by young Rangen.
Nice tackle.
Sends it ahead to Sibbald. Sibbald to Cruyff. Cruyff on the attack. Is that beautiful? Beautiful footwork. Great dribbling by Cruyff. Look at that.
And he's tackled.
And he still maintains possession. And the ball is over the sideline, and Johan said, I don't know, I'm over here all alone. There's 14 guys around me, and I had to lose the ball.
Yeah, they're saying, you're pushing me out. What are you guys doing? So there's Cruyff. He is said to have the best acceleration in this game of hockey. The Aztecs moving in. That's the 35-yard line. There it goes.
Galindo. Oh, great save. Great save by Brown in the net for Seattle as Galindo hit it right on target.
Galindo can do that, so can Carey from 35 yards out. They can overpower you, or a very strong foot, as the players say.
Excellent save for Brown, who has not seen, as Dan has told you, all that much action in North American Soccer League play this season. So he has to be a bit rusty, but he was very equal to the task there. Of course, he had some time to see it coming, too. It wasn't right in on top of him, and it was probably 30 yards away when Galindo let it go.
Yeah, Cliff was a third-round pick last year, as we said, out of the University of Washington. Ivanov, one of the best goalies in the league, is hurt. Ivanov is suffering from a thigh contusion, so he simply doesn't have the mobility he should have, and for a goaltender, that's fatal, as Mickey Kay puts the ball in play.
He's an Englishman. He has 19 points and 6 goals and 7 assists. Galindo knocks it away again. It'll be over the sideline and another throw, and that's Galindo, number 23 for the Aztecs, who are in their home white, trimmed in orange and blue uniforms tonight. Seattle in the green jerseys, white numerals, and the white trousers. Trapped. Possession maintained by the Sounders. That's Cave. Sends it in the middle. Ryan tried to head it around himself, really. Buttle at midfield, no. Saving it on the far side is Smethurst. And Derek really hasn't had a foot on the ball much tonight. Oh, that narrowly. That could have been real trouble. The ball just seemed to squirt between two Aztec defenders, and coming out to pick it up was Bolton. But it appeared as if it was one of those Alphonse and Gaston routines that the Aztecs were going through. Rangan at the 35-yard mark, driving down, drops it off. Van Veen was tackled off the ball, pushed, shoved off the ball, and Seattle has it.
Rangan looking for the return pass, and he and Van Veen talking it over. He went to his left. Van Veen expected him to come back to the right. You know, Rinus Michels, the Aztecs coach, had a decision to make. Do you rest the regulars now that you've made the playoffs? And he decided no. He wanted to keep the momentum going into the playoffs. So the regulars are playing tonight.
Hudson with the ball for Seattle. In the middle now to number 12, Mickey Cave. Fires a shot that is over the goal line and wide to the right side. Not all that difficult a chance, even had it been on goal. One assumes Bolton would have handled that quite easily. It didn't seem to have too much hurry up on it.
Well, McGrain has been on top of Smethurst like a gas cap tonight. He hasn't even gotten the ball once yet, Tom, and he's got to have it if they're going to score, they being Seattle.
Scramble for the ball, and Dangerfield is ridden away from it, and Seattle comes up with the ball possession in the middle to Ryan. Ryan approaching the 35-yard mark on the attack. Drops it off on this side to Hudson. Hudson loses it. Galindo down the side to Dangerfield, but Seattle now gets it back. Cave at midfield. Buttle drops it off to Hudson. Hudson gets it back from Buttle. Pass for Ryan, but it's too far. And the Aztecs maintain possession. That's Michael Carey, the Yugoslav.
The Aztecs are considered the best tackling team in the North American Soccer League, and when you watch Rangan and Galindo and Hulser, you can see why.
Van Veen trying to head it toward the goal, or at least toward fellow Dutchman Johan Cruyff, unable to do so. Good defense by the Seattle Sounders. We've got 31 minutes remaining in the first half of action here at the Rose Bowl, and there's no score between the Aztecs and Seattle.
And halftime again, we remind you, we will be having our contest drawing for the month of July. Two contrasting styles here tonight, Tom. The Seattle team plays basically the English style, which is the long pass style. Move the ball up 20, 25 yards at a time. The Aztecs play more the style played in Europe other than in England. That's the short pass style, as epitomized by that man, Rinus Michels. He calls it total soccer. Short passes, one-touch passing, move the ball up shortly.
Aztecs on the attack. On the left to Van Veen. Van Veen and Bridge. Van Veen back to Bobby Sibbald. Fires it across the middle An attempt to head it in by Dangerfield, but he missed, and Seattle comes up with the ball. Down the side, that's Ryan. Ryan down the left side. Good ball handling. Breaks in past Shelton, but Galindo comes back to take it away, and the Aztecs have it.
Nice move.
Indeed. Pass on the left side. Sybil down the left side to Hulser. Hulser is tackled off the ball by Buttle, and Seattle takes over possession now with Alan Hudson approaching the midfield mark. Galindo there marking him on defense. Over on the right side to Neighbor. Neighbor against Sybil, drives between Sybil and Shelton and is ridden off the ball, knocked down. Up with it is Ryan. Shelton heads it away, and up with it now is Cave. Cave over on the right sidelines to Neighbor, guarded by Sybil. Sybil tackles Neighbor and not the ball, and that's a no-no, and it'll be a throw-in now, or a free kick for the Seattle Sounders, and that's Jimmy Neighbor, and he puts it in the penalty area, but alert defense by the Aztecs. Carey comes out to Sybil. Sybil to midfield. Now Sybil comes up on it again, puts it in midfield. Driving with it is Dangerfield. Dangerfield surrounded by defenders, approaching the penalty area. Good defense by Seattle's Kruger, and the ball is back out near midfield. Galindo now had a shot on goal a bit ago. Drops it off on the right side to Rongen. Rongen centers it. Well, tried to get it in the penalty area in the goal mouth, but it was partially deflected and went wide of the Seattle goal. Thomas Rongen, 5 goals, 5 assists, 15 points on the year. Toe-headed Dutchman, part of the Dutch connection.
That's right. He was the best amateur player in Holland last year, turned pro by the Aztecs. He's part of this Clockwork Orange team. They're playing very well tonight, Tom, as they all are flowing toward the ball, and that's what Rinus Michels wants. A lot of people around the ball. He always wants to outnumber the other team no matter where the ball is, because he says then your percentage of getting the ball is much better.
As Galindo throws it in, and the Aztecs put it on the attack. That's Shelton with it. I'll remind you, we've got 28 minutes remaining in the first half, and we're scoreless here at the Rose Bowl. That's Cruyff. Was he a dazzler? Oh, what a move. What a move. Centers it. Headed in. Goal. That was Cruyff, and Van Veen headed it in. But you're going to have to look at that again to see the magnificent footwork by Johan Cruyff as he dazzled Seattle in the corner and then perfectly laid that pass, and Van Veen headed it in. And for Van Veen, that is his 12th goal of the year. Here it is again, Dan.
Okay, watch it. The defender, as we watch McGrain, the defender should give Cruyff an e-coupon for this ride. Now that's another sequence right there. Now there is Cruyff. Watch him spin. Down, you think he's gone. Round, back again. Goodbye, McAllister. And here comes the setup. And in. And Jimmy McAllister gets a lesson from the master, Johan Cruyff, and it's 1-0 Van Veen putting it in.
We'll have the official time on that in just a bit. It's around the 27.5-minute mark. 1-0, the Aztecs leading. A dazzling bit of footwork, ball handling and dribbling by the master, Johan Cruyff. And McAllister, Rookie of the Year in '77 and really just a baby in international soccer competition, really did get a lesson in the corner on from one of the masters, one of the greats.
He joins very distinguished company. People all over the world have had that experience. Van Veen's 12th of the year from Cruyff. McGrain should also get an assist. The time, 16-16, 1-0 Aztecs. We've got to watch this again. Now watch Cruyff. There's another angle. He's down. McAllister moves in for the kill. He's in too close. Cruyff knows it. Look at that. There just aren't players anywhere that can do that and be under control. Now watch him set it up for the goal. That was just the commercial.
Oh, that's beautiful camera work, gentlemen, to get that right from behind the goal. Our camera catching that, and a beautiful pass from Cruyff. Followed all of that dandy footwork, and then the shot by
the pass equaled the footwork. He put it right on Van Veen's forehead. Had he not put the ball right there, the goal would not have been scored.
Hulser in the middle, but up with the ball is Bridge. Cruyff is one of the Sounders' most hated rivals. I mean, he's one of they've made him their all-American, their all-everything, most valuable player. Put him on their all-opponent team, and he really lives up to his billing so far here tonight. And he gets the assist as Van Veen gets the goal.
And he hasn't played against him until tonight, but before the game, they said, well, look, we've seen him. We know what he can do. He's our all-opponent. On our all-opponent team, we think he's the most valuable in the league, and he just said, thanks.
Cave puts it in. Beautiful driving attack by Seattle, and with that attempt. Hudson. And Bolton didn't save it, but the Aztec defense did, and now Bolton has it for Los Angeles. Boy, the Sounders right in on top of Bolton, and Hudson got away a pretty good effort.
Looked like Dave Shelton back there. Shelton has 9.7 speed in the 100. That's pretty fast for a defender or anybody else as far as that's concerned.
Bobby Sybil, nuts Galindo, puts it in the middle. Back out on the left side to Hulser. Over the goal line. If Seattle touched it last, it'll be a corner kick. And that's what it's going to be. And the man is coming over to do just that, Johan Cruyff. It's the first corner kick of the night for either team. 1-0, the Aztecs lead. And we've got 24.5 minutes remaining in this first period of play. Good save by Seattle. Van Veen from Cruyff at the 16-minute mark was the official time.
McGrane, after he passed the ball to Cruyff, could have got a hot dog before the ball went in the net, but I think he still deserves an assist on that.
Down the far right side, Aztecs with the ball. Chris Dangerfield. Ridge over on defense to mark him. Center hit, shot on goal, and Brown comes out to save it.
This is a classic end-of-season situation. Seattle very tight, must win to make the playoffs. Los Angeles has made the playoffs. They're all loosey-goosey, and you have a feeling this could be a very tough night for Seattle.
Seattle with the ball, and the Aztecs leading 1-0 here with 23 minutes, 40 seconds remaining in the first half. Cruyff tried to get a little something started there, tried to pass it off, wanted to give and go, and the ball never got over to his teammate. It was intercepted by the Sounders.
Too bad they don't have an award for the assist of the year. That one would have to be up there.
Well, that was just beautiful footwork by the man.
And the pass, incredible. Just
everything.
hit him, just nailed him perfectly.
At midfield, Sounders controlled the ball. Hudson to the 35-yard mark.
Now, Van Veen is no slouch. Among everyone who's ever played soccer in the Netherlands, he's the number 8 leading scorer and played with Johan Cruyff, so they know each other well.
Cave, left-footed, puts it down and over the goal line. Tried to get a pass to Neighbor, but he led him too far, and Neighbor was marked on defense very capably by Dave Shelton. Aztecs on the attack. Hulser driving in. At the goal line, his shot hits the post and falls away to the left side.
The Aztecs got good news today as we look at Hulser. Minor surgery, took some floating cartilage out of Willem Serbeer's knee. He will be available for the playoffs. Also, Vito Dimitrijevic is a canceled check tonight, but he will be available for the playoffs, suffering from a quad, that's a muscle strain. So the Aztecs should be pretty close to full strength, unless something happens either in this game or the next one when they go into the playoffs. And the playoffs would be either against Washington or Vancouver, teams that the Aztecs have already beaten on the road this year. So, looks good.
McAllister with the throw-in for the Sounders. With it is Kruger. Kruger, his shot is headed away. Rongen can't get it, but the Aztecs pick it up near midfield. Dangerfield ahead to Rongen. But over on defense, Kruger takes it away. Shelton marking him, and the ball is at the sidelines, and Kruger maintains possession. No, stepped over the line apparently, and it'll be a throw-in. No, it was a penalty called against Shelton, and we got a free kick coming up for Seattle.
For Johan Cruyff, his 14th assist, 14th setup to go with 10 goals this year. For Van Veen, his 12th goal.
That's Ryan, number 2, trying to head it in. Headed back, McAllister. Trapped. Carey sends it down the side and leaping high in the air and almost reaching up like an outfielder or a wide receiver was Dangerfield. But apparently the pass had been touched by a Sounder. The throw-in goes to the Aztecs. Dangerfield down the left side. That goes right through the feet of Impey on defense, and Brown, the goalkeeper, puts it over on the far left side. Seattle with it on the attack as the Aztecs lead 1-0.
You can't fault Cliff Brown on that goal. I don't know what anyone could have done to prevent it.
No, just beautiful footwork by Cruyff, a great pass, and a beautifully timed header by Van Veen. And it all added up to a picture book effort and goal, and the Aztecs lead 1-0. Ryan puts it in the penalty area, and there were a lot of white jerseyed Aztecs around that ball on defense as Seattle continues to press on the attack. Hudson tried to head it in. Boy, he got a lot of forehead into that, and he sent it about 25 yards toward goalie Bolton to Galindo near midfield. Galindo maintains possession, crosses the midfield line, 35-yard line. Galindo still with the ball for the Aztecs, trying to set up the attack now.
Both these teams coming into the game off shutouts. The Aztecs shut out Vancouver here to earn their playoff spot. And Seattle got a shutout in San Diego. Both teams winning by 2-0 scores.
Dangerfield blocked by Cave and Impey. And the Aztecs maintain possession at midfield. Cruyff. Beautiful footwork by Cruyff. Pass on the side to Shelton. He's a dazzler, isn't he? Shelton, young American, to the corner of the penalty box. Back toward midfield. Impey marking him closely on defense. Sybil puts it in the middle. Van Veen on the side for Dangerfield. Shot no good. Ball is in front of the net and high in the air. Goalkeeper Brown gloves it. Aztecs really putting some pressure on him, Dan.
I think one of the Sounders may have picked up a smashed proboscis on that play accidentally. Right in the nose. He deflected that goal-scoring attempt, and that's not exactly where they like to do that.
Buttle centers it for Ryan. Ryan back to Hudson. Hudson in the middle to McAllister. McAllister over on this side to Kruger. Kruger back in the middle to Hudson. Centered but headed away by Sybil. Good defense by Shelton, but Hudson comes back up with it. Back out to Buttle, and the Sounders will try to set up their attack again. Over to Kruger. Kruger marked by Hulser. McAllister, left side now to Buttle. Buttle in the corner. Medhurst tries to head it in. In on top of goalkeeper Bolton was number 12, Mickey Cave.
You hear that English goaltender hollering out, "Look out for the near goalpost here." That was Bolton, and he's talking to his defense. And you're hearing it live and on TV. If his language gets a little more colorful, well, we apologize. I don't think it will, though. He's a gentleman.
To midfield. Picked up by Hudson.
I'll tell you, it's so beautiful tonight here at the Rose Bowl. This is probably the night they're taking the postcard pictures, Tom.
Could be. It's just a gorgeous, soft summer evening here in Pasadena. Here come the Aztecs. Leading 1-0. Carey down the side. Chasing it down for Los Angeles was Hulser, but he was taken off the ball by Kruger. And Brown, the goal for Seattle, to Kruger, who clears it away on the left side. Sounders and the Aztecs, and 17 minutes remaining in the first half, and LA leads 1-0.
In case you're wondering, who is Johan Cruyff? He was the European Player of the Year 4 times, World Cup Most Valuable Player only once. Of course, they only had that every 4 years.
That's right.
Johan Cruyff sets up Leo Van Veen. It is 1-0 Aztecs, who have totally dominated the first half, which has about 16.5 minutes to play.
Seattle, pass down for Ryan. Ryan maintains possession. Beautiful footwork. Good defense. And the ball is kicked back by McGrain. Back into the waiting arms of Bolton, the Aztec goalie.
And the key to this, look how many people hustle back to help out on the defense so you don't have somebody left back one-on-one. Around one defender, and he looks up, and here is 1, 2, 3 more. That's how you win.
I tell you, Ryan went right over the top of Carey, a beautiful move, and the rest of the Aztecs were right there, McGrain and company.
Well, if you get caught as a spectator, like McAllister did, and there's nobody to help, generally you give up a goal.
Van Veen sends it wide to the right side and high over the net. It'll be a goal kick coming up for Seattle. We've got 15:40 remaining in the first half. Leo Van Veen, he leads the Aztecs with 12 goals, getting his 12th tonight. And Van Veen has a total of 30 points on the year now. He has 6 assists to go with his 12 goals.
Now, timeout called a stoppage of the clock by the referee.
Having a lot of conversation there with Buttle.
And I believe Buttle was yapping just a bit about a penalty that was not called. And Buttle has been told to cool it.
15 minutes remaining in this, the first half. Larry Hulser with the ball for the Aztecs. Drops it off to Cruyff. Watch Johan. Double teamed that time.
But they didn't get away from it.
Oh, no. Right back on top of the ball.
They used the UCLA backcourt pinch trap right there.
That's Ryan. Oh, fired it across. Chasing it down. Just out of the penalty area now is Smethurst. Derek Smethurst, marked by McGrain, tackled off the ball. Here's Cruyff. Boy, McGrain is doing a magnificent job. He had Chinalia a week ago, and now he's got Smethurst tonight. He never gets an easy one.
McGrain, a young man born in Scotland, a Canadian citizen now, just a superb defensive player, and he shut down every top offensive player in the league this year. He's only been scored on once in the entire season by a man that he's been marking, checking, guarding, whatever you want to call it.
1-0, the Aztecs lead. Seattle kicks it away to the far sideline as the Sounders try to get their offense rolling along. A beautiful evening here. The San Gabriel Mountains are standing out against a darkening blue sky with still some shimmer of sunlight and a moon as big as the Rose Bowl itself hanging right over the
You could put music to that. I think we'd have a ballad.
It is just a gorgeous night. Just beautiful. And I tell you, we can see all of it because we're sitting on the roof of the Rose Bowl press box here in Pasadena. Dan, Avey, and I.
You think on TV with that many subscribers could buy us some seats, but, you know, that's the way it goes.
I kind of like it here. Neighbor with it.
We're just kidding.
For Seattle.
Mr. Franchio.
McAllister, hard-working youngster. In the middle. Sent away. Galindo there on defense, and he left puts it near the midfield stripe. And McAllister runs it down, keeping the pressure on, continues to attack. Over to Neighbor on the right side. Neighbor advancing. Centers it in the penalty area. Oh, my, and a scissors attempt. Just did miss on a try in there by Smethurst. And it was Bolton who came out to take the bouncing ball and to clear it out of harm's way.
You know the defensive team is in trouble if the ball is near their net and it starts changing directions rapidly. Even one direction change is enough to throw everybody out and open up a wide angle for a shot.
Heel kick at midfield results in the Aztecs coming up with the ball. That's collision, 35-yard mark, and Seattle's got it now. And now Hulser picks it up. Hulser for the Aztecs on the attack. Van Veen right on the edge of the penalty area comes out now. Centered in the penalty box area. Headed in the middle. Van Veen marked off the ball. Good defense. With it now is Ryan for Seattle. Fine defense by McAllister and others against Van Veen, who already has a goal tonight. In fact, the only one scored. His 12th of the year. Neighbor puts it in the middle. Defense by the Aztecs as Smethurst couldn't quite get to it, and McGrain was there to kick it away. Back come the Sounders again.
McGrain leaped in the air to make sure he got a foot on that one.
Little heel kick back to Kruger. Kruger fires it high and over the goal and out of play. It'll be a goal kick coming up for the Aztecs. Well, the Sounders might be feeling just a bit frustrated with 11 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first half. They're down 1-0. They put a lot of offensive pressure on the Aztecs and Bolton, the goalie, but so far they've come up empty.
That's right. Remember, that goal is 8 yards wide and 8 feet high. And there's Bolton. He leads the league. 7 shutouts this year. He had 10 last year. He was obtained by the Aztecs in a trade for Bob Rigby. He has had 4 of the 7 shutouts in a Los Angeles uniform.
Sounders again on the attack. Jimmy Neighbor. Neighbor back to McAllister. McAllister clears it over on the left side. Buttle headed away by McGrain. Back out near midfield. Cave gets a foot on it, sends it back down, and Bridge runs it down. Ian Bridge, a Canadian, 4 points. A goal and 2 assists. McAllister right over into the waiting foot of Larry Hulser for the Aztecs. Puts it deep in the left-hand corner. Cruyff is there. McAllister again. Are we going to have a repeat? McAllister got a foot out over the goal line. It'll be a corner kick for Los Angeles. Well, McAllister's learning, Dan
Oh,
Avey.
he sure is. He's a very good player. I mean, sure, he looked bad on one goal, but anybody would if they're going one-on-one on Cruyff.
Shelton shot, deflected. Up with it, Smethurst. Lead pass now for Impey.
The whole secret to defending Johan Cruyff is not to do it with one man. Do it with the posse if necessary, but to keep a lot of people around him, and he won't make the pass that he made, leading to the Los Angeles goal.
Buttle's pass and the shot attempt by Impey. Hulser is there on defense, but now Jimmy Neighbor has it again for Seattle. 1-0, Aztecs lead. Neighbor puts it in the middle. Tip driving in, hitting it just too much. And over the goal, Smethurst. Hold it, that's Impey. And Impey just did get too much of it.
Here's an overlapping defender, and here he comes, barreling right into the middle. One man misses, but Impey is there to take the shot and blows it. Just got it up too high. A little lower, it would have been in. To Bolton's credit, though, as the ball came over the one defender who missed the header attempt, Bolton followed it all the way, saw Impey get it. So Impey overlapping from his defense position all the way down to practically on the goal line.
McAllister with it at midfield, loses it, but Seattle maintains possession. Hudson has it now. Cleared over on this, the right side, with it is Neighbor. Neighbor has been the instigator in most of the Seattle attack, and from that very spot on the field, too.
And again, defense in tandem by the Aztecs. He got around one man, but there was another man there.
Oh, there's a dangerous pass by Carey right across the front of the penalty area. And the Seattle player, Cave, just did miss an opportunity to intercept that. That's kind of like centering a pass right in front of your own net in hockey.
That's right. Mickey Cave, one of the best at scoring, too.
Cruyff puts it deep in the right-hand corner. Sybil centers it out. Rangan heads it in the area. And Vane, Dangerfield, just did miss. Oh, what a great effort on a scissors kick and a shot by Dangerfield just wide to the left.
Chris Dangerfield, 23 years old from England. Watch him get up into the air off this Van Vane rebound. Jumps up, comes right back across the body and almost puts it in. Let's watch it from another angle. He plays forward or midfield, only 23. Watch this. Watch the balance. Lines it up, times it, and blasts it before the defense gets there.
But I tell you, had it been just about a yard to the right, Brown, for all of his great play, could not have stopped it, I don't believe. Dangerfield just rifled it and missed it by just perhaps a yard to the left.
That was the skill that made Pelé so great. The effort to bicycle kick and get the ball in the net. He probably popularized that shot all over the world from the time Pelé was 15 years old even.
7 minutes and 15 seconds remain in the first half. It's 1-0. The Aztecs lead here. Cruyff. Johan, left-footed shot just wide. Well, I tell you, Brown must be just talking to himself down there in goal.
Now watch Cruyff, who fires, he's a very deadly shooter with either foot. Watch this, starts back one direction, shoots the other, and when you're picking the corners like this, there's not much the goaltender can do when that yawning mouth of the net is 8 yards wide.
All he can do is hope that it's only 7 yards wide.
That's right.
Aztecs lead 1-0. Galindo to McGrain, the bearded one, clears it back to Carey.
You know, Tom, one of the great pleasures of the game of soccer is that the near misses and the skills exhibited at midfield are just as much fun to watch as the ones that go in.
Some cavalier ball handling by Galindo, and up with it now is Hudson. Seattle has it. That's Neighbor ridden off, and Galindo gets it back. And now Cruyff has it on the far side. 6 minutes remain. Cruyff sends it well down the field for Dangerfield. It's in the penalty area, and coming out to grab it is Brown, the goalkeeper for Seattle.
Brown must not have a very good kick from that goal. I notice he almost never does. Always rolls the ball or throws it with the arm. So that's That's too bad. The really good goaltenders can really belt that ball out there with a foot to get it out of
I
trouble.
tell you, we've seen a couple this year, Dan, can hit it 70 yards, not even half drawing their foot back.
And do it 20, 30 times a game.
To be sure. To be sure. It's a big offensive weapon, no question about it. If you can cover 70 yards and lay it right on the foot or right down near one of your attacking teammates. We've got 5 minutes and 25 seconds to play in this, the first half, and it's 1-0 in favor of Los Angeles. Van Veen has the goal. Sends it back to Galindo near midfield. Aztecs taking their time now, very deliberate in their attack. Down the right side, so deliberate that it's right over the head of Aztec Thomas Rangen, and we have a throw-in for Seattle.
What a turnaround in 1 year for the Aztecs. Last year they finished 9-21, and nobody cared by the end of the year. This year they could wind up 18-12. That would be an almost unheard of turnaround in one season.
McAllister for Seattle drops it back to Hudson. Hudson ahead to Ryan. Ryan deep in the corner with a pass. Partially deflected. Smethurst nearly got the shot away, and Hulser sends it back upfield, kicking it out of danger. On defense for Los Angeles, 4:20 to play in the first half. From the side, Cave, right off the head of the Aztec defender. I mean, right off Carey's forehead.
He was
Impey in the corner. Cave back out to Shelton. Shelton sends it a lead pass for Carey, but Hudson is there to grab it, and he drops it back to Bridge, and Seattle will continue to apply the offensive pressure. Closing 4 minutes of this first half. Bolton has it for Los Angeles.
Again, the total soccer down there by the Aztecs. 5 men hustle and defend against 2 attacking Sounders. It's just not possible to do much against those kinds of odds.
Shots on goal, 9-6. Los Angeles ahead of Seattle. Dangerfield, goal! Dangerfield, and for Chris, his 7th goal of the year and his 17th point.
Well, you saw him just miss on the bicycle kick. Watch him set this one up. Moves to a better angle and then really lets it go. The goaltender leaning the wrong way. Think he's going for the far corner from another angle. Galindez sets him up. And in it goes. And he really had the goaltender outfoxed on that one.
Really beat Impey, too.
Yep.
And Impey was marking him rather closely, and Chris really beat him with a beautiful play and a right-footed kick in for his goal, his 7th of the year, and now he's got 17 points.
That came at the 42-minute something mark of the first half, which is 45 minutes long. Dangerfield is 7th of the year, 2-0 Aztec.
And the Aztecs have the ball, and there's Rangen streaking down the far side. Rangen being pursued, drops it off to Van Veen. Van Veen clears it back, and Dangerfield, the goal scorer, back to Galindo at midfield. Galindo on the far left side, and here comes Johan Cruyff. Cruyff to set it up now. Watch him. Drives toward the penalty area, puts it in the middle, but it's marked and kicked away. Good defense by Impey. Smethurst. Derrick drops it back to McAllister of Seattle over to Neighbor. 2-0 Aztecs lead. Smethurst give and go pass, but it's going to be over the sideline. A throw-in for Los Angeles. It's 41-28 Dangerfield. Galindo with the assist, and for Galindo, his 2nd assist of the year and his 2nd point of the year.
So Sanchez Galindo sets it up. Dangerfield moving toward midfield, snaps it off, and in it goes. So the Aztec forwards, Van Veen and Dangerfield, have scored. It's 2-0, a minute and a half to go in the first of 2 45-minute periods. And we'll be having that contest drawing coming up.
That was Dave Shelton, number 16, young man from Chicago. Bolton clears it over on the far side, and Sanchez Galindo drops it back to Carey. Carey starts upfield, gets it back on a give and go. Carey to the 35-yard mark. Carey over to Cruyff. Cruyff in the middle of the field, flips it over on the right side. Beautiful pass. In the corner now with it is Dangerfield. Nice footwork by Dangerfield. Shot across. Carey has it. Carey puts it in just off the corner of the goal. Sherry looked like a man really picking his spot for a knockout punch, and he just might have waited a second too long. At any rate, his effort came right off the top of the bar at the corner.
Did you see the speed on that shot? Look at the velocity on the shot. Now he knocks it down, moves, boom. Boy, did he shoot that hard. You have no chance if you don't have that one lined up, or unless he hits the goalpost or crossbar as he did there.
Nolan Ryan thinks he's got a fastball.
Wow. We knew Carey was strong in the foot, but I've never seen him shoot from that close, Tom. I never appreciated exactly how fast it was going.
That's Cruyff drawing a crowd. Wherever he goes, drops it back with a little heel kick.
Carey is 28 years old from Yugoslavia, another world-class player in the livery of the Los Angeles Aztecs.
No time left, and there we have the end of the first half of play with the Aztecs leading 2-0 over Seattle. The first goal scored by Van Veen on a header after taking a beautiful pass from Johan Cruyff. Cruyff with some dazzling footwork in the corner, beautiful ball handling, hit Van Veen perfectly, and Leo put it in to score his 12th goal of the year. There you see young Dave Shelton. And the second Aztec goal was scored by Chris Dangerfield, his 7th of the year, and Galindo got the assist on that. And Dangerfield's goal was every bit the equal of Van Veen's goal for precision, great footwork, a great ball handling, and great shooting ability. Both of them were really picture efforts. And to be quite honest about it, as Rinus Michels goes to the dressing room, goaltender Cliff Brown really didn't have a chance.
And I don't think Michels has much to complain about either as he goes into the room. They played his game pretty well.
Rinus Michels and his Los Angeles Aztecs lead the Seattle Sounders 2-0 at halftime of a North American Soccer League match played on August 7th, 1979 at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. This is Soccer Rewind. I'm your host, Ken Tomash. Hey, if you like soccer, if you like retro, this might just be the channel for you. So give us a like, give us a subscribe. We love subscribers. Leave a comment. And help us spread the word about this little thing that we have going on here. We're going to bring Chris Dangerfield back in now for a look at the key moments of that first half. And Chris, really probably the play that epitomizes the type of player. I mean, there are so many plays in this game by him, but let's take a look at highlights of the first half. Johan Cruyff did not waste a lot of time. We'll take a look here. This is the typical Cruyff move on Jimmy McAllister.
And you got to feel sorry for Jimmy there because Cruyff slipped. And I put Jimmy at a disadvantage because then he was too tight to him. And once he got ability to use that Cruyff turn, which obviously was one of his patented moves. But above that, it's that ability to the touch on the ball and then the ability to accelerate quickly and get away from Jimmy. That's the key for this move there, that little move there. And who thinks from that position to bend it with the outside of your right foot? It's a fantastic ball into a space where obviously Leo Van Veen, who was a wonderful finisher, could just put something on goal. That's me doing things acrobatically again. For those who watched the first half, I apologize for the first 25 minutes. I was all over the place, just running and chasing. And that's what I sort of had to do with the type of system that I was put into. And it was a wonderful way to be able to be involved in the game because in some respects, my job was to try and use the space that Leo Van Veen and also Johan Cruyff would actually create for me and to be able to use my speed and, I guess, hustle, as it were, to try and get into those areas. That's now my first goal.
Yeah, he gets set up nicely by Sanchez Galindo.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch inside and use the legs of the goalkeeper of the defender to blind the goalkeeper a little bit. I mean, it's one of those things like an indoor goal, really, that is. And you'll notice that I'm popping up on the left-hand side, whereas if you were to look at the formation before the game, I would have been on the top right-hand side. And that is because, really, Cruyff would just go all over the place looking for the ball. And that was one thing. And my job was almost to try and get on the other side where he was, get out of his way in some respects. And then Leo Van Veen, which is back in the 79, which was unique, you know, he's a player that's playing a false nine. They play false nines all the time now. in the modern game. But he was dropping deep, allowing space behind him that players like myself would try and utilize.
You should have had an assist on that one. The Michael Carey takes 2 touches. A one-timer might have given you assist on that one. Still, you're up 2-0 going in to halftime. Can you recall, if at all, the type of coach that Miklos was in this type of a game? Like what he would have said to you at halftime? What was he like before a game in the locker room? What was he like at halftime, whether you were up, whether you were down, whether you were tied?
Most of his preparation for Cruyff was before the game and during the week building up to the game. Sorry, for Miklos. I mean, he would, his preparation was excellent. I've said it before that he was the first coach I had that I really felt that with the preparation and what he told you your job was and what the team's job was, I felt going on the field, we were going to win because he just spelt it out to you how you were going to break the team down. It was all about preparation. And from that point on, once Cruyff arrived, he sort of took over on the field. He had that ability. He literally would drop into midfield if he was needed. He'd go up front if we needed the goal. He'd go and play sweeper if we were leading. I mean, he'd do whatever he needed to do. And but most of the time at halftime in a game like that, he would just to try and make sure you kept your standards up and make sure that you obviously got something out of the game. It was quite easy to tell even at that time that the Seattle team they had put out wasn't the same level we were for that particular game. And so therefore it was all about us keeping our standards high.
And you mentioned Cruyff kind of floating and going wherever and you playing off that. That's part of the total football, obviously, that Miklos and Cruyff and the whole Dutch contingent had gotten to the 74 World Cup final on. A little bit harder to play that as a team in the NASL because you had so many guys from so many different places they were at different levels. You couldn't really play team total football, but you saw Cruyff playing it all the time.
Yeah, and so we couldn't play total football as they did at Ajax or 74, 78 World Cup for the Dutch national team, but there were certainly pieces of that. Right. I mean, Soubier on the right, who wasn't playing in that game, by the way, he was been rested for the playoffs. He would go forward, and if I or whoever was playing on the right didn't get back into time, then probably Thomas Rongen would slide into that position to fill that void. Michael Carey often, when we had possession of the ball in their half of the field, would step into the midfield from his defensive area, leaving probably 2 against 2 at the back for the opposition and overloading the midfield, so that we had that flexibility as well. But you would see a lot of movement, but also just an understanding that you had to, and this is all part of me sort of learning the game, which I certainly did under Miklos and playing with the players I had the opportunity and the pleasure of playing with, to learn the game to a point where you could read it and say, okay, that's happened. I need to go and do this and help the team out.
Well, it's definitely a good first half for you guys. You're up 2-0. We're going to get you back out to the Rose Bowl for the second half just a moment. But first, I want to remind you that if you like what we're doing, if you like retro American soccer, if you like hearing these great stories, if you like videos like this, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Follow us on social media for the latest what's going on, including some cool contests and giveaways coming up. Give us a email here. It's at one of these. It's this one right here. It's this email address right here. Give us an email there at rewind@ken.com. All right, we'll get back out to Pasadena now for the second half. Chris and I will be back afterwards with a lot more stuff to talk about. This is Soccer Rewind.
So that's it. There's Dangerfield, who has scored a goal tonight, his 7th, and of course Van Veen scoring his 12th. He's got 30 points, and Dangerfield now with 17. And with the Aztecs leading 2-0, the second 45-minute session gets underway here at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Rongen to Cruyff, back to Galindo. Across for Hulser, saved at the sidelines by Shelton. Boy, he is quick. He's got sprinter speed, that's Shelton. He and Hulser are big kids and very, very quick.
Shelton was a hockey player as he grew up. He has 9.7 speed in the 100, so he's really a remarkable athlete.
In the middle, that's Cruyff. Well, I tell you, Cruyff just kind of makes you stop and watch and wonder anytime he gets near that ball.
You play goaltender against the Aztecs and Cruyff. You don't feel bad about picking up the paycheck the next week.
Seattle with the ball now on the attack. Neighbor ahead for Ryan. But Bolton comes out, and the Aztecs are going to be called for a penalty. Medhurst got the referee's attention, and they're going to bring the ball just outside the penalty area, and Seattle will have a direct free kick. You see Hudson, number 4, and that's Ryan, number 2. A couple of Englishmen, very talented soccer players. Ryan has 11 goals this year, 30 points, and Hudson has 15 points.
The Aztecs build a human wall between their goaltender and the kicker. Let's see who will take the shot. This will be a pre-designed play. Well,
over the net.
Tried to get around the wall.
Yep.
They did, but they also got over the net. So there's the man working on shutout number 8. He leads 2-0, and he leads the league in shutouts with 7.
Bolton clears the ball to near midfield. Aztecs have it. Galindo. McGrain. On the side, Rongen. Van Veen. Tipped it toward Galindo, but the defense there by Seattle. Van Veen heads it back on the attack to Rongen, back to Van Veen. Puts it in the middle, but it is poked away by Bridge. And goalkeeper Brown has it for Seattle.
To realize how good the Aztecs defense is, you must realize Seattle beat a team 9-0 just about a week ago. They can score. They're awfully good. The Aztecs are just making them look bad by playing extremely good team defense.
I think that's the most points scored by one team against another in the league this year,
right.
if I'm not mistaken. 9.
9 goals. That's an awful lot.
You really get the feeling that you've been beaten when you walk off the field if you're down 9-0. Van Veen, he has one already tonight. Shot! Ooh, on goal, but high and over the net. It'll be a goal kick coming up for Seattle. There's Van Veen.
Let's watch it again. Watch the 6'2" forward, stops the ball with 1 foot, dribbles right, left, lets it go between defenders. That was a good effort just to get the shot off, because it was just a little tiny alley about as wide as the ball in which he could shoot, and he did.
And on target, just a shade high by about a yard, and of course missing the top crossbar. Buttle, McAllister back to Buttle, and intercepting is Rongen. Beautiful defense.
See that tackle? That's why the Aztecs are known as the best tackling team in the league. And there he goes.
Cruyff centers it. Bobby Sybil on the far side. Oh, what a collision over there. That was Shelton who got bumped about a bit. Hudson with it for Seattle. That's Neighbor, and Shelton returns the favor, tackling him and picking up the ball. Dangerfield. Dangerfield in the penalty area. Shot. Oh, great save by Brown. Dangerfield is deadly from anywhere. What a great move he has with that ball toward the net.
We checked out the field before the game, and where you see Brown fall, that is absolutely hard as a rock right there. That's like falling on concrete. Watch him.
Oh, that was a great shot that Dangerfield got away, Dan. That ball is in the net. If Brown is not equal to it, and he came diving out to make a great save and keep the Aztecs from going 3-0. They lead 2-0.
I think this is going to be an awfully good field by next year. The Aztecs have started some hybrid Bermuda grass down there, and it is taking over. It's going to be like a plush carpet to play on, and when you've got players with the skills of Cruyff, you want to have a good surface for them.
Aztecs lead 2-0. We're in the second half, 40 minutes remaining in our game. We're at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Bolton clears it to Thomas Rongen. Rongen centers it. Aztecs maintain possession.
There's Carey with the cannon on both feet. Boy, can he shoot that ball hard.
McGrain over to Rongen, down the right side. Dangerfield.
Now, he was forced out of bounds there.
So the Aztecs will have a throw in, and that'll be Sanchez Galindo. Inbounds it to Dangerfield. The penalty will be called against Number 13, Eddie Kruger, who was marking Dangerfield just a bit too enthusiastically, and we'll have a free kick coming up for the Aztecs.
Galindo was captain of Mexico's World Cup team that handily eliminated the United States. Then were eliminated themselves and took a lot of flack in the Mexican press.
Johan Cruyff centers it across. Langen centers it back, and Brown comes out to get the ball and to glove it and save himself any further harassment down there by the Aztecs.
Excellent play by Brown, the best he's made tonight. The goaltender must take charge down in that area. You let the ball bounce around there, somebody is going to get a good shot at you.
Not only that, but like anything else, you get caught in the crowd, you're going to get screened out.
Right.
Somebody's going to chip one at you, and by the time you see it, it's past you.
Remember, the goaltender has a big advantage. He can use his hands. He's the only man on the field that can use his hands or arms.
Alan Hudson, 2 times. Cruyff has it now at midfield. Cruyff, beautiful footwork.
Goodbye.
Cruyff driving, drops it off. Hulser double teamed. That's Bridge, and Hulser goes down. And a penalty on Bridge, and Hulser will have a free kick coming up.
That was a bad tackle in that he caught Hulser before he caught the ball with his foot. Anytime you hit the ball first, that's a legal tackle. This is not. Watch it again. Watch Bridge. See, foot first, then ball. Gotcha.
Oh, headed just past the goal mouth. Just past the goal mouth as Dangerfield tried to head that one in. Score remains 2-0 in favor of the Aztecs.
Here's the problem when you can't kick it out of there. He tried it once on the ground. The Aztecs got in front of it, had to send it back to him. So the goaltender by himself cannot get the ball out of danger. And you can't get by that way in this league.
Van Veen gets whistled for a penalty. That's Cave, number 12 for Seattle. Number 15 is Buttle, in case you've just joined us. 2-0, the Aztecs lead. Seattle on the attack. We've got 37 minutes remaining in this second half of play. Good interception, good steal. Aztecs grab the ball. Here's Cruyff with it at the midfield mark. Lead pass for Rangen. Rangen's shot, great save by Brown. Came out, cut down the angle, and was equal to the task, and Rangen really put a shot on him, too.
Anticipation and concentration, the bulwark of all goaltending, and Brown had it.
And the Aztecs are right back at him again. That's Dangerfield. Cruyff in the middle now. Cruyff maintains possession at the 35-yard mark, trying to set up the Aztec offense. Cruyff chips it in for Van Veen, but good defense by Bridge, who was between Van Veen and the bouncing ball, kept him from getting a foot on it, and Brown came up with the bouncer.
Rinus Mikos couldn't have ordered a better playoff tune-up for his club than this one tonight. The Aztecs are doing many, many things right, and it's always nice to have all those positive reinforcements as you go into the playoffs. As we look at Rinus Mikos, man considered by many to be the best coach of this game in the world, and the Aztecs spent a lot of guilders to get him here, or whatever they spend in
I think
Holland.
guilders is all right.
Anyway, he is the recipient of a real Dutch treat to be the coach here, and he has been worth it. He's turned this club around.
Dutch treat, canceled checks. You're in rare form tonight, Mr. Avey. Rare. It must be the roof and the nighttime air.
The altitude.
Gonna have to watch you, get you out with a full moon. You start growing hair on your face here before I know it. That's Hudson with it for Seattle. Aztecs lead 2-0. 35 minutes remain in the second half of play. Beautiful pass. Great ball handling. Shot wide. Fine attempt there by Seattle's Derek Smethurst. And that is about the first big effort that Smethurst has had a chance to do tonight. He's been marked very, very successfully by McGrain. He's an outstanding world-class player. 28 points on 13 goals. He's a quality soccer star, no question about it.
Oh, definitely.
McGrain has really been just all over him like a blanket.
Well, Smethurst, as we said, a three-time All-Star in the North American Soccer League, and some pretty good players in this league. So McGrain has had his hands full, but he is perhaps the most improved player in the league this year. John McGrain wears number 18 in the facial foliage for the Los Angeles Aztecs.
Carey back to Cruyff, down the right side and over the sidelines. Unable to save it with Sybil, but apparently it was touched by a sounder. So Sibbald puts it in, gets it back, chips it over to Van Veen. Van Veen advancing, comes to the sidelines with a little pass to Shelton. Shelton throws it into the penalty box, and Brown jumps up in the air, grabs it and rolls it over to the right side. Seattle brings it down the field. 34 minutes remaining in this, the second half of play. 2-0. Aztecs lead. Nice lead pass, but perhaps, yes, too far, too long. It'll be a goal kick coming up for the Aztecs. There you have Colin Bolton.
I think a lot of people were surprised when the Aztecs traded to get Colin Bolton. He's 32 years old, from Cheltenham in England. He is a veteran, though. He's experienced, and when they got him from Tulsa, they got a man who is a real rock during the playoffs, a man who specializes in shutouts, and they thought just a little bit better than they had, so they made the deal, even though Bob Rigby was possibly the Aztecs' most popular player before Johan Cruyff arrived.
So here's Bolton, and he sends it downfield. You'll notice the difference in the goaltenders, not to denigrate the efforts of Brown. We certainly don't mean to do that, because he's a fine soccer player.
He's a young man learning, sure.
But Bolton really has an outstanding foot. Now, he had the ball covered downfield about 60 yards, and we've not seen Brown able to do that tonight. I don't think he's injured. I just don't think he has the tools that a player of Bolton's ability has.
Well, he's making a quantum jump, going from being goaltender for the University of Washington to being goaltender for the Seattle Sounders. There's just a jump of enormous propensity from one league to the other.
Another corner kick. Aztecs have had 3 of those. Seattle none so far tonight, and that one is belted out of the penalty box area as Cruyff put it in play, and now the Sounders clear it back up toward midfield, and it'll be a throw-in for the Aztecs. Bobby Sibbald flips it into that man, Hulser. Check that, that's Carey, number 5. And across the way on the far side, Shelton sends it deep in the corner, intended for an offside call, as it was intended for Hulser, deep in the left-hand corner. Has to be 2 men between you and the goal, one of which can be the goalkeeper, but has to be 2 on defense.
What they're saying, basically, no cherry picking. You can't just stand back there by the goal and wait for the ball. Got to work for it.
Good defense by the Aztecs. Seattle having a tough time getting it upfield now to get their attack in action. Get it galvanized in the moving here. Bridge. Good defense by the Aztecs.
The ball does tend to roll out of bounds here, Tom, and we'll get to the reason why. There is a reason for it in just a moment.
Brown on the field, I would imagine. The sideline's a little lower for drainage.
Well, perhaps. Let's see what happens here.
In the corner, that's Buttle, and Buttle is taken down by Carey. And we're going to have a penalty kick, I believe, coming up. Carey is going to be called for the penalty in the penalty box.
Okay, watch Carey, number 5. What he does is catch him from behind a little. And then, now watch Buttle. He gets about a 9-1 on this dive. Now here's Carey, legal. And his foot just comes down, not legal, but normally, 99 out of 100, Buttle would fight right out of that and keep going. But to draw the penalty in that area, he does. There will be a penalty kick, and it could be a very close soccer game in about 10 seconds.
Ryan is the man who will try the penalty kick for the Seattle Sounders. And, of course, Bolton in goal cannot move until the ball has been hit by the attacker.
Ryan 4 for 4 on penalty kicks this season.
Little wonder, then, that he's taking this attempt for the Sounders, who are down 2-0. There's the whistle. He's got it. Boy, he drove it right up under the crossbar, and Bolton really had no chance. And Ryan, now with that goal, has 12 on the year and 32 points with 8 assists. Beautiful shot by Ryan.
Okay, here he comes. From the penalty mark. The goaltender moves early, doesn't make any difference, going the wrong direction and down, the ball going the other direction and up. But look at the confidence in this shot. John Ryan, out of England, 32 years old, played in 400 First Division matches there. He knows of what he does, and he puts it right in, 5 for 5 this year for the Sounders.
So it's 2-1. Aztecs lead by 1 now, and they're right back in a tight match with 29 minutes and 40 seconds of playing time remaining in this, the second half. Remember, no ties. Could these two clubs end in a deadlock at, say, 2 each? Why, we'll go to a 7.5-minute overtime session. If they're still tied, we'll play another 7.5. And if still tied, why, then it's shootout time.
But I hope Mr. Bolton's wife was not spending the shutout bonus because he just lost it.
Bad pass by McAllister. Cruyff. Cruyff has scored again. Beautiful effort. And the youngster from Seattle, McAllister, made a very bad pass, giving Cruyff the ball about 40 yards, about 25 yards away from the goal. And Cruyff took it in, and Brown didn't have a chance.
Let's watch it again. Johan Cruyff almost scoring when his team needs it. He puts the effort on here. There he goes around Bridge. Gives him just a small, tiny area in which to score, and he puts it right there. That is Johan Cruyff. No mistakes. A goal and an assist tonight. It is 3-1 Aztecs.
Cruyff now has 11 goals on the year and 3 more points to give him 36 with a goal and an assist. 3-point effort tonight for Cruyff, and he has 36 points on the year. And the Aztecs are right back on top, 3-1 now, getting back the goal that Seattle just got a moment ago on Ryan's penalty kick.
I think Ryan scored in the 15th minute and Cruyff in the 16th minute here in the second half, but we'll wait to see officially. Cruyff almost seems to be playing one game and the other 20 people are playing another game, and you almost think Cruyff can score at will. Unassisted, Cruyff's 11th goal of the year. And Ryan's goal, of course, on a penalty kick, also unassisted.
Unfortunate for young McAllister that Cruyff has made him look bad on 2 plays here tonight. One, ball handling his way around young McAllister. And here McAllister with a very bad pass that Cruyff intercepted right about there. In the penalty area, shot. Brown is there to save it. Oh, my.
You know, technically, Cruyff could be voted Rookie of the Year. I don't think he'll even be nominated, but he is a rookie in this league, although he may be the best player.
About,
right.
Yes.
Who did I say?
I know you did say Cruyff. I just wanted to repeat
Oh,
it.
yeah, I meant Cruyff. It is his first year in the league.
Millender, number 22, is getting ready to come in for the Aztecs, who lead 3-0. Fine play, shot, goal. A goal by Seattle. Hold on. They're not going to allow it. Neighbor got the goal, but they're not going to allow it.
Offside, I believe they called.
Medhurst is really upset.
Huh. Okay, let's watch it. Here comes the goal.
Ryan, but it won't count.
I don't know why it was disallowed, Tom. I really don't.
I don't either.
Okay.
Yeah, Saunders really did not protest all that vehemently.
No, maybe the whistle blew. I don't know.
Here's Cruyff. Beautiful pass. Great save by Brown.
All right. Great play by the young goaltender.
Van Veen, what a struggle. Van Veen battling with Bridge, and now McCrane has it for the Aztecs.
Bridge has been victimized on a couple of occasions tonight. He's getting a little rougher in his play. The official times Ryan's penalty kick at 59:35, Cruyff's unassisted goal at 60:50. Remember, 45 minutes in the first half and another 45 here in the second. 3-1 Aztecs.
Throw in for Seattle. That was Jimmy Neighbor taken down by young Dave Sheldon across the way as Rinus Mikels is getting ready to send number 22, Millender, in. Going to be a throw-in for Seattle. And we'll check, see who's coming out. For the Aztecs, it's going to be Hulser who comes out.
And Jimmy Millender is going in. Now, Millender, let's watch and see why this goal was disallowed. Oh, no. This is the Aztecs. Not quite scoring at the end. That was the save. That was a beautiful save. Okay, Cliff Brown.
So Millender is in and Hulser is out for the Aztecs. We got a throw in now. Headed away by Bolton, who came out a long way to belt that ball back out of the penalty area.
Jimmy Millender learned to play his soccer in Torrance in the youth program there. He was signed out of El Camino College after playing at North Torrance High. He began at age 8 in Torrance. Millender drafted by the New York Cosmos, traded to the Aztecs just this past year, and there's Jimmy Millender playing in front of the home crowd. Last year, spent the entire year on the Cosmos reserve team, never got a single minute of league action.
Seattle with the ball. That's McAllister. Partially deflected. Bobby Sibbald has it for the Aztecs. Over to Cruyff. Cruyff has a goal and an assist tonight, and he's played magnificent soccer.
Jimmy Millender, 112 minutes of action coming into tonight's game.
Rangan back to Galindo. Aztecs with a 3-1 lead and 24 minutes remaining here in the second half of play.
Wouldn't it be neat if Millender could do something? Let all the American kids get in on the action. After what we saw last week here with the Cosmos.
That's right. Action at midfield, and the Aztecs maintaining possession. To the score, 3-1. Sibbald puts it in the middle. Shot is, oh, beautiful. Dangerfield. Millender may get an assist.
Half volley, I believe.
I tell you, Dangerfield that's his second goal tonight.
8th of the year.
And the Aztecs are really going to have, if they hold on, a 9-point game here tonight.
Okay, let's watch Dangerfield. The ball comes in. The teammate is tripped. He'll score this goal with the left foot after scoring the last one with the right foot.
I believe that's Millender who's going to get the assist on that. Here's another look at it. Now watch Millender. See if that isn't 22 right in the middle? It is.
He's
down.
tripped.
He goes, and Dangerfield left puts it in.
Had that not scored, there would have been a penalty.
So it is now 4-1 in favor of the Aztecs.
Dangerfield with his 8th goal now.
And second tonight. Van Veen and Cruyff at the other two. And it would appear with 22 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, and the Aztecs up 4-1, that Seattle's playoff hopes grow slimmer and dimmer as the evening in the game wears on.
It's possible they could still win and get in, depending upon what the other team does. Toronto, who I believe had the same number of points coming into tonight's game. Now, that plateaued field, Tom, the soccer field 70 yards wide. Okay, the middle 50 yards is absolutely flat, but as you suggested, for drainage purposes, the outside 10 yards on both sides are slanted down about a foot, so the ball does tend to roll out of bounds.
Dangerfield, Millender, and Sibbald are going to get assists on the goal by Dangerfield, his second. And the Aztecs continue to apply the pressure on Brown. Cruyff centers it. It is kicked wide by Veen. Van Veen kicks it wide left. Van Veen with a goal, Dangerfield with 2, and Cruyff with 1. We've got Dangerfield with 4 points tonight. That man there, Cruyff, has a goal and an assist for 3 points. Van Veen, 2 points with a goal. And Millender and Sibbald each get a point. Galindo has a point on an assist. It's been a big night for the Aztecs.
Well, Millender, nice to see him pick up a point in front of the home folks after winning the game in Torrance.
Cruyff stole that pass and tried a little chip shot. Tried to chip it right over the head of Brown, the goalie, and he got just too much of it and knocked it right over the net. So it stays at 4-1, Los Angeles, with 21 minutes remaining in the second half.
And they've now outshot Seattle 21-9. And I believe it was only 11-6 at halftime, so...
Medhurst along with Carey, and they have a bit of a bumping session, and it'll be a direct free kick coming to the Seattle Sounders, and Carey didn't like the call at all.
Michael Carey really emerging as a leader on this Aztecs club, 28 years old from Yugoslavia.
Rangan now to Galindo as the Aztecs come away from their defensive set. Dangerfield trying for the hat trick. Brown comes out to scoop it up.
Well, when you look at the Seattle defense, Tom, they are tall and they are very young. Impey is 24 years old, 6'1", from England. Bridge is only 19 years old, 6'1", out of Victoria, British Columbia. Kruger, only 19 years old, out of Seattle Prep. And McAllister, 22 years old, out of Seattle. So very young defense. They're going to be much better in the future.
To be sure, very young. There's McAllister with it.
Boy, when you go with two teenagers and you're playing against the likes of Cruyff.
Good centering pass. Perry. Cruyff.
There he goes.
Here he comes. He's got a goal and an assist on the side to Van Veen. Beautiful move. Another goal. Van Veen just drilled it by a prostrate Brown. Van Veen with his second goal.
Well, his 12th and 13th this year, and that time he just made a sensational move and then shot the eyes out of the net. Leo Van Veen. 6'3" forward out of Holland, 32 years old. Watch this. Goodbye around the young defense. Here he comes in. Now watch this shot. Again on the short side.
Just too quick for Brown.
Yep.
Too quick for him.
When you combine that much accuracy with tremendous velocity, watch him. The goaltender caught out of position. He thought he was going to shoot much earlier. And it was 19-year-old, or make that 22-year-old Impey, who got the lesson on that one. Leo Van Veen, a 5-1. And now substitutes coming in again.
Van Veen, an assist to Cruyff, so give Cruyff a goal and 2 assists tonight.
And the time, 70 minutes, 33 seconds. Well, the Aztecs ahead 5-1 over a team that won 9-0 recently.
Jimmy Neighbor with it for Seattle. And the Sounders must be disheartened, of course, trailing 5-1. Shelton in the corner. Seattle maintains possession. Ryan back out to Impey. Impey back out to Ryan. His shot, no good.
Well, Tommy Ord now in at forward, wearing number 18 for Seattle. He was a regular last year, but lost his job this year.
That's Hudson, along with Smethurst, in on top of Bolton, but he's equal to the task. Clears it out with a throw, but Seattle bringing it right back down on the attack. Galindo clears it back to Cruyff. Cruyff down the left side. Cruyff with the ball. The crowd building in anticipation. Fires it across to Dangerfield. Off the goal post. Dangerfield trying for the hat trick. Dangerfield saves it. Millender. Oh, look at Cruyff. Cruyff missing with a left-footed attempt.
I'll tell you, Seattle's got a lot of spectators out there right now. Players going in one-on-one. And if you're the Sounder that's caught back, your teammates are standing there watching, saying, hey, play him well. Nobody is getting back to help out. Let's watch Dangerfield go in and hit the post, looking for the hat trick. Here's the boot by the defender, by the goaltender, but he does not beat the crossbar.
Couldn't beat the goal post. Beat everything else. Yep. 5-1, Aztecs lead. Shot attempt by Cave is wide right. 16 minutes and 58 seconds remain in this soccer match as the Aztecs are pouring it on Seattle tonight. Second half shots 13-4 in favor of the Aztecs.
You mean Seattle's had 4? That would be my only question on that stat. Okay, let's watch Van Veen's last goal again. Just watch this. This is poetry. Puts the defender away. Goodbye. Around him, comes in on the goaltender. Just inside the goalpost. Just absolutely perfect. Not only good placement, good velocity on the shot, and there he is, Leo Van Veen, and he's taking a corner kick.
I tell you, Bridge put an awful good defensive move on him to keep him from getting another one tonight, the hat trick as well. Van Veen couldn't run it down as it was headed away. Seattle has it. Aztecs lead 5-1. We've got 16 minutes to go in the match. Aztecs on their way to their 17th win of the season. Chip shot headed away by Galindo. Back upfield. Van Veen couldn't get behind the young defender Kruger, or he might have been looking right down Brown's throat again. Got Dangerfield with 2 goals tonight. Cruyff has 1 and 2 assists. Van Veen has 2. Shot wide.
Well, the Aztecs, like a piranha going for a finger in the fishbowl, boy, they sense they can score, and they are going for it. Michael, that's pronounced, in case you're worried about the Yugoslav pronunciation. We don't worry about it. He calls it Michael, so we will too. Michael Carey, the cannon foot, and now Seattle has got an indirect free kick.
Number 2 is John Ryan, the Englishman, who scored the goal for the Seattle Sounders on a penalty kick. Oh, fine effort. Boy, chipped it, just narrowly missed putting it underneath that crossbar. Bolton high in the air to keep it out, but he didn't have to worry about it because it was just over it. Watch it again. We'll show it to you. And you take a look at it as Bolton sees it, and it just did clear the crossbar. Corner kick for Seattle, so apparently one of the Aztecs got at least some deflection on it. Headed away by Carey on defense. Seattle runs it down at midfield.
For those of you at home watching this game and saying the Aztecs, wow, that's absolutely true. They're playing just superior soccer, and at the end of the year, that's the time to play it. Their first playoff game will be here a week from tomorrow night. That's a week from Wednesday night, so get out here and see it, because they're really playing well. They'll play either the Washington Diplomats or the Vancouver Whitecaps. They don't know which yet, but the first game will be a week from tomorrow night here at the Rose Bowl. Make your plans to be here.
Aztecs with it. That's Millender. Millender and Kruger. Millender over on the right side to Van Veen. Back to Millender. He has an assist tonight. Millender.
Nice move. He's still going.
That's right. And diving on the ball at the feet of Millender was Brown, the goalie for Seattle. 13 and a half minutes to go in this match. 5-1, the Aztecs lead.
Don't you have to love it? A guy who learned to play the game in Torrance when he was 8 years old, North Torrance High, signed by the Cosmos, traded to Los Angeles, playing in this game and playing well here tonight. Jim Millender.
That's Ord with the ball for Seattle over to Hudson. Ord is the bearded gent for Seattle, and McGrain is the guy sporting the chin whiskers for the Aztecs. That's Cruyff.
Ord, another victim of the rising standard of play in this league. 2 years ago, he had 15 goals.
Kruger with a blast from long range, partially deflected, wide to the left. Bolton had his eye on it all the time.
Last year, Ord has 7 goals. This year, he doesn't start. So that's what happens. The league gets better. It passes some of the players by.
Carey with the ball as he and Bolton kind of take their time. Now Bolton has it. 5-1 Aztecs, 12 and a half minutes remaining here, as the Aztecs have had a barrage of goals, literally inundated young Cliff Brown. Seattle with it. That's Kruger, 13. Over to Hudson, Cave. Back to Bridge. Upfield to Hudson. Near the midfield stripe. Drops it back to Kruger. Seattle unable to get their offense really on track here now. Trying to put it together. That's Cave over the midfield stripe. Dribbling it down the right side. That's Sybil to mark him on defense. Cave left puts it in the penalty area over the goal line.
You were a soccer fan.
But Aztec touched it. It'd be a corner kick, but no, it's going to be a goal kick for LA. Yes, Dan?
Excuse me. If you were a real soccer fan, you'd say the Los Angeles work rate is much higher than that exhibited by Seattle, and it certainly has been. Los Angeles has worked much harder than the Sounders tonight, and they have deserved to be ahead, perhaps not 5-1.
Buttle chips it in. It is sent across the goal mouth, and the Aztecs clear it out. You could hear the goalkeeper, Bolton, shouting, "Get away, get away, get away."
Get it out, get it out.
Yeah.
And so Carey certainly did. About 50 yards.
Jim Gabriel wonders what part of the Rose Bowl fell in on him tonight. Boy, he ought to talk to his young goalkeeper.
Well, the young man thrust into a difficult situation. Ivanov plays all year and plays well. All of a sudden, he's hurt in San Diego, and here you are. Your name is Brown. You're the backup netminder out of the University of Seattle, and you're getting quite an education from some world-class scorers tonight.
Van Veen with 2, Dangerfield with 2, Cruyff with 1. Angelo Di Bernardo is getting ready to come into the contest for the Aztecs with 10:25 remaining here in this match, the Rose Bowl. Rangan.
Di Bernardo also out of Indiana University. Like another of the Aztecs, Dave Shelton. So the Aztecs, some very talented young Americans ready to make their mark in this North American Soccer League. And Rinus Michels has been bringing them along. He wants them to play. And Di Bernardo started at the beginning of the year, and then they had to loan him to the U.S. national team for a while. He came back, and his spot was gone.
Some nice ball handling and passing by Seattle here in this little series. But they can't get the shot away.
Good tackle again by Rangan. What a great two-way player he is.
Down the field to Dangerfield. He's got 2, trying for the hat trick. Van Veen's got 2. Dangerfield centers it across. Shot is blocked. Oh, boy. Van Veen really let one go. Buttle clears it across.
Well, Sammy Llewellyn is down there warming up also. Angelo Di Bernardo. So Rinus Michels may go to the bench in the last 9 minutes or so.
5-1. Aztecs lead. Seattle still trying, though one gets the impression they're well out of it here.
Well, 5-1 is almost impossible to make up in this amount of time in a game of soccer.
Cruyff. Beautiful footwork.
Look at him give ground.
Shot blocked. Dangerfield, Brown saved it right at the edge, or Dangerfield would have had the hat trick.
You know, now they're afraid to go after Cruyff. He's made them look bad, and they keep giving ground, backing in, and he makes the pass over here to Dangerfield, and there he goes.
Right there. Brown just did keep it out.
Yes, he did.
Aztecs are going to be asking for a penalty kick. Dangerfield was sent sprawling by number 13, Kruger.
And he gave it to them. Let's see if Dangerfield takes it for the hat trick. Now watch Dangerfield, number 7. He's going to kiss the good ground to Pasadena very shortly. There he is. Now watch the tackle.
Well, it wasn't a tackle. It was just a shove and a knockdown by Kruger.
And a dive by Dangerfield. He normally doesn't fall down when that happens.
So Dangerfield gets the penalty kick. Rinus Michels is up walking about. I don't know who's going to take it, whether it'll be Van Veen or Cruyff or Dangerfield. It's going to be Dangerfield, apparently.
Yeah, Michels went and had Dangerfield take it. Normally Van Veen would take it. Substitutions are being made.
Llewellyn is in for 1.
I think Di Bernardo was also in. There's Angelo going in. So Sammy Llewellyn is in the game. Angelo Di Bernardo, you see him there.
Dangerfield for the hat trick. He's got it. Dangerfield gets his 3rd goal of the night. Hold it. Was it Cruyff? I thought Dangerfield took it. I thought he was lined up to it. Let's take another look.
Yeah, I was watching the substitutions.
So was I.
Yeah, it's Cruyff.
It's Cruyff.
And now this also is playoff warm-up. Cruyff, in the years he played for Rinus Michels, 14 of them never took the penalty kicks. That wasn't his job. But the Aztecs have missed 2 in recent games. So guess what, Johan? Just got another job.
2 goals and 2 assists for Cruyff. That's a total of 6 points tonight. 2 goals for Van Veen. That's 4 points. 2 for Dangerfield. That's 4 points. Galindo's got an assist. Millender's got an assist. I tell you, points are fast and furious here tonight as the Aztecs lead 6-1. 7 minutes remaining in this contest, and the Aztecs well on top.
And this is their top offensive output of the 29 games they have played. 6 goals for the Aztecs.
Hudson. Ryan has the only goal for Seattle. Throws it over to Buttle. You can hear Bolton, the goalie, talking. Headed out of the penalty box area. This is the most they've scored all season long. Dan Avey, 6 for the Aztecs.
You know, Michels was criticized in the press, Tom, after the Cosmos game for not having Cruyff take the penalty kick that the Aztecs missed in a crucial situation. And he said, well, Cruyff has never done that for me. And then he walked down there tonight to make sure Cruyff did take it. So I have a feeling in the playoff you will see Johan on any penalty kick.
That'll be a corner kick. Number 15 is Steve Buttle. We've got 5:55 remaining in this contest. Aztecs on top, 6-1. Really pouring it on tonight against Seattle. Here come the Aztecs again. Carey over to Millender. Back to Carey. Carey couldn't get to it, but Dangerfield shoots and scores again. Dangerfield, a right-footed effort, and that is his 3rd goal of the night. And Dangerfield has the hat trick, and young Cliff Brown shows all the frustration on his young face as he finds himself on his knees right there wondering, is this all there is? An avalanche of shots and goals. Watch it again. Watch Dangerfield from the side, catching the corner of the goal as Brown strives valiantly. Can't do it. Caught the post and in it came. And that's number 3 for Dangerfield. Cruyff, here's another look at it. Chris just teeing off with that one. And Brown sprawled in utter defeat. Ord centers it, chipped away and over the goal, and it'll be a corner kick coming up as McGrain, in his effort to clear the ball out, actually knocked it over his own goal line. So it'll be a corner kick for Seattle. That's Jim Neighbor. And Bolton is high to grab it. No assist on that goal, credited to Dangerfield, his 3rd of the night. And to recap it for you, Van Veen has 2, Cruyff has 2 and 2 assists. And a big evening. 7-1 in favor of the Aztecs. Here's Millender, centers it, shot, saved by Brown. Boy, Brown must feel like he's in a shooting gallery and he's the target. They've been on him almost without let-up. Impey clears it on the right side. Seattle with the ball in the middle. Neighbor pass down the left side. Buttle keeps it in play. No, Buttle was over the sidelines. Be a throw in for the Aztecs. 7-1, 3 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in the match. Three minutes and 7 seconds remaining. 7-1, the Aztecs well in front. Cave. Shot attempt headed away on defense. McGrain. Throw in for the Sounders. That's Ord. Johan Cruyff, 6 points. And the 6 points by Dangerfield. 2 of them tie a record for the most points scored by an Aztec this season in a game. That is single game, most points, 6 each. Cave with it for Seattle. Puts it in the penalty area. Oh my. Falling down, trying to clear it out of there was Carey. And it'll be a throw-in for the Sounders. Throw comes in to Alan Hudson. Hudson back out to Bridge. DiBernardo tries to tackle him off the ball, and Galindo has it for the Aztecs. Minute 51 remaining. Offensive player of the game, Johan Cruyff. Defensive player of the game, the Aztecs' Michael Carey. Here's Cruyff again. Shot is wide and high. DiBernardo missing as he tried to get in on the act. Left-footed it over Brown's head and over the goal. We'll watch DiBernardo again now. Watch Brown move into position. The shot is high. Left-footed effort. Hudson with it for Seattle. Lead pass to Ord. Ord back to Hudson. Hudson, lead pass. As the Sounders could not touch that, they'd have been offside as you saw them let the ball go. Bolton clears it to midfield. Nice chip shot. Here's Cruyff. He's beautiful pass. Shot in the goal. DiBernardo, and Cruyff gets the assist. So Cruyff has 2 goals, 3 assists, 7 points now. And you can watch it again as DiBernardo gets into the act. Hold everything, no goal. You can see it, but it won't count. Offside, apparently, as DiBernardo had come in behind the defense. Beautifully passed ball, well played. So Cruyff has 6 points. He'll have to settle for that. And DiBernardo will have to content himself with a nice try and an attaboy, but no goals. 7-1, and we've got just a handful of seconds now, 2 in fact, as they tick away, and that's it. The game, mercifully enough for the Seattle Sounders and young Cliff Brown, is over as the Aztecs dominate Seattle, winning their 17th game of the year against 12 losses, 7-1, really no contest.
It really was no contest on this night, at least, August 7th, 1979, as the Los Angeles Aztecs beat the Seattle Sounders 7-1. I'm Ken Tomash. This is Soccer Rewind. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, follow us on Facebook, and find out all the news about upcoming episodes and some cool contests and giveaways. Chris Dangerfield is back with us now. And Chris, this was one of those nights. They happen in soccer, right? Everything just goes your way. Seattle had beaten the Edmonton Drillers 9-0 6 days prior, but in NASL land, you played a lot. You often played Saturday, Wednesday for weeks at a time. That had to contribute a little bit, as you referenced right before we went to the break, that the side that they were able to put out that night wasn't quite up to your quality, but 7-1 is a little bit of an outlier.
It's a tough league. It's still a tough league now with Major League Soccer for players to come over and adjust to. You can travel the breadth of the country. That's a 5 or 6 hour flight, probably longer in those days. And then you've got the time difference, you've got the different surfaces you play on. All these things contribute to it being a tough league to try and adjust to. Some of the best players in the world have come over here and adjusted to it quickly, and some of them have struggled. And it's even more recently in Major League Soccer with players like Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard coming over and not doing what David Beckham does. Some people adjust, some people don't. It's a tough league, and it was reflected in some of the results you would see.
And you mentioned surfaces. We will get into that as we take a look at second half highlights here. As you come down the left-hand side, you've got a good chance here, and Cliff Brown makes the nice save.
Yeah, that was a cross. I'm not shooting from that angle, but there was space that was opening up. We're 2-0 up. And so there's going to be space. This is the penalty that was given to them. This makes it 2-1. But we were certainly still in control of the game. There was lots of space. And, once again, even though they had quality on the field, this is Stevie Buttle just getting a touch in front of Michael Carey. Michael was convinced he got a touch on that. And if there was a VAR, they were probably right. But they had the players that were dangerous. But, we had Johan Cruyff. So in those sort of scenarios, we wouldn't panic. Just carry on with the game.
Get an English referee in this game, too. Keith Stiles, who had refereed in England for many years. John Ryan nails the penalty, so it's 2-1. Looks like it's game on at this point, but then Mr. Cruyff takes over, and unfortunately, it's Jimmy McAllister again.
Yeah, Jimmy knocked a square ball. I mean, square balls get coaches fired, right? So But once you got that one-on-one situation, it happened to be Ian Bridge, who turned out to be a very good footballer for the Canadian national team. But at the end of the day, when it's one-on-one against Cruyff, he has the ability to go at you at speed, go either way, right or left. You're in no man's land. He's always going to beat you. He's always going to get the shot off. And in true fashion, although the goalkeeper did make the best effort, it's right in the corner.
The thing about Cruyff that you'll notice here is that he seems completely unconcerned about any defenders anywhere. Now you see one of the young Americans that you talked about, Jim Millender, serves that ball in, gets a nice touch there after it gets served in. Millender hits a little touch to you. Boom, Bob's your uncle, flows your aunt. You scored with both feet in this game. Is that something you were comfortable with? Either foot?
Yeah, I was, but that was a worldie, wasn't it? Let's face it. I think that first time on the turn, and obviously the commentators aren't here, but Jimmy Millender just came on the field, and the commentator was more excited about the fact that Jimmy Millender got a touch, and therefore an assist so early in the game that they really didn't talk about my strike that much. I thought it was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, Sibbald does it's a nice ball in by Bobby Sibbald, and Millender gets hit from behind. It just falls right to your foot. Great finish. And there you go. Second goal of the night. Now, you could have had a bunch of goals on this night. Here's Van Veen, who's also a very good player, obviously very skilled. He gets his second of the night here. You had several Dutch players here, and they're not really overshadowed by Cruyff because they were very good players in their own right, as referenced by the fact that, they went on to have long and very, very good careers. Van Veen was a terrific player.
Yeah, Leo Van Veen came from Utrecht. And once again, I mentioned this about the formation of the team before Cruyff got there. There were so many good players that had come with Cruyff. I mean, Thomas Rongen came from as an amateur from, I think it was FC Amsterdam. And, he became such an excellent player in the North American Soccer League. And then you've got Leo, who, once again, was just one of those players that could not only score goals, but just link up with players so well. Huub Schmeets was another one that came over at the same time. And Wim Soubier, 2 World Cup finals, Johan Neeskens, Johan Cruyff, Wim van Hannigan, Rudy Krol. What a fantastic team that was back in the day. This is
Cruyff. Yeah, you draw the penalty here. Did you play this one up a little bit at all?
You think? That's I would say that's about a 6.8 from the Russian judge there on the die for sure.
The nominees for best actor are. What's the discussion here? There seemed to have been a discussion about who is going to take it. You've got 2 goals. It seems like, what is Mikkel saying here?
Well, I believe that was there's somebody that missed a a penalty kick in the previous 1 or 2 games before that. Obviously, I'm thinking it's a hat trick. I want to take it. But there was none of that going on. Once again, it's serious. And so Mikkels is not worried about who's scoring goals or whatever. I wanted to try and score 3 goals, sure. But at the end of the day, it was all about preparation for the playoffs. And so it was decided right then and there that when we go into the playoffs, Cruyff's going to take the penalty kicks. And he did.
And he did. Now, I know that you are a terrific golfer. So you're going to have to tell us here, was this a 9-iron you're using here? Is this a wedge? Look at this.
Now that one I was quite proud of that one because I had the time to set it up and I was in a nice position to do so. God bless Cliff. He hadn't got the best night of his career, had he really? But it set up nice for me. And I actually meant to try and bend it a little bit higher in the top corner, but he couldn't get across in time. And I think it all came down to the point in the game. Obviously, the game was over. They didn't close me down and gave me a lot of time to pick out the corner, which I did nicely.
Indeed.
Proud of that one.
It should be. Now, I did look that this was your first hat trick outdoors, but not your last. You did get 3 against Fort Lauderdale in 1983, but this is a footballer's dream here to get the 3. Your team is peaking. You're playing well, going into the playoffs really well. A 7-1 final. That was not a club record for goals in a game. The Aztecs had scored 8 in a game against Boston in 1976. You beat Washington in the first round of the playoffs then. Hold that thought when it comes to Washington. Then you lost to Vancouver in the next round in the NASL's mini game. We talked about the 35-yard line, an American contrivance, the mini game. And the Whitecaps were an outstanding team in 1979. Don't remind me. They beat the Rowdies in the Soccer Bowl. We won't talk about that one. But then Johan moves on to Washington the next year. Yet you guys had an even better year in 1980. You went to the conference finals against the Cosmos, but this 1980 team was very good as well, even without Johan Cruyff.
Yeah, they brought in some really strong players. They had a partnership with Channel 34 Televisa from Mexico, and a very strong tie with Club America. In the first row, cross-legged in the first row, you'll see Javier Aguirre. And Javier is now the coach of the Mexican national team again. They brought in Ruben Romano, who is an Argentinian, who I believe played in the Mexican League as well, Luis Fernando. So there was quite a different sort of setup as far as going more Mexican Brazilian than going with the Dutch players in that particular group. Leo Van Veen was back, Michael Carey was back. So the core important players as far as Mikos was concerned were there again. Once again, a good group of young American players, the likes of Gary Etherington and Paulie Garcia. John McGrain still there as a core player, Vim Subia as a core player as well. But there was a bit of a transition going on now away from the Dutch style towards the ownership, which was more of a Mexican group that owned the team. And
Luis Fernando had a terrific year, scored a bunch of goals for you. He wound up in Tampa Bay as well, an outstanding player. And now the Aztecs had played indoor, in the NASL's first indoor season, the brief indoor season of 12 games. But you really took to indoor the next year. You had 35 goals for the Aztecs, including a league record 7 in one game against your old Las Vegas teammate, Alan Mayer, and 2 other games with 4 goals. What was it about indoor that allowed you to shine? It seemed like it was made for you.
I missed a penalty in that game as well. I enjoyed the indoor game. It started off because there was a requirement or a need for the ownership to keep us busy, because we signed 12-month contracts, but the season was only whatever it would have been, 7 months long or so. And so we used to go, in some respects, back to their home countries, maybe even pick up some games over there, but they decided to keep us busy and keep us on the payroll. And so they started having us play indoor soccer. In the initial, the way that it's like a 5-a-side initially, where you'd have one guy that would stand up front and the other 4 plus the goalkeeper would be doing all the build-up back here and more the defending, and you try and find the one guy up front. And I was fortunate enough to be the one guy up front. And that was the way the first couple of seasons went with the North American Soccer League. Later, when teams like the San Diego Sockers, etc., came in and changed major indoor soccer into the creature that it was, along with teams from Kansas and Cleveland and other areas where it really took off, it became a different animal. It was a fun game to play.
And as many NASL teams did about that time, the Aztecs started circling the drain. But right before they were wound up and right before the dispersal draft that would have sent you who knows where, they moved you to the club and the city that would come to define your career, the rest of your career, and your life for the next 40 plus years, San Jose and the Earthquakes. What have that club and the current club and the South Bay meant to you for your career, your life, and your family, though, these many years?
San Jose always seemed to keep popping up all the time, Ken. I had a great affiliation, more than an affinity for the Bay Area and San Jose. 2 best friends I met playing, one for the Timbers and also John Smarty in '76, who played with the Timbers as well, both from the San Jose area. So I would come down here and vacation time, and I would hang out with those guys. And also it seemed that I did a lot of firsts here in San Jose, including my debut with the Timbers, etc. And from that point on, it always seemed to be a place that I sort of felt I was going to end up in. And when I got the opportunity to do so, it was to trade from the Aztecs, and I thought I was going to go and play elsewhere and play indoor soccer. But at the end of the day, my relationship with George Best was strong at that point, and he spoke to the owner, which was Malan Mandrick, and they brought me into San Jose. And it turned out to be the best decision I've had, really, because I ended up living in the Bay Area since that point. So since the end of 1981 and the 82 season, I've lived in the San Jose area. The club has treated me so well on the field and off the field. The front office, the fans, the players involved, the coaching staff have all been fantastic through to me all through that period, whether it was Peter Bridgewater, whether it was Carl Berg, and now John Fisher, because I'm still involved with the club and doing other things. They turned me onto the media side of things, and for the last 14 or so years, I was doing radio. Now I was doing TV up until the Apple TV took over and Major League Soccer. So, this really has been my home. I was honored that the team and the club honored me with their acceptance to put me in their Hall of Fame in 2018 for my services to the club, my performances on the field and off the field. And that was a massive honor for me as well. My daughter was born in San Jose. My son was born in Los Angeles. So it's one of those situations that it became my home, and it still is my home to this day.
But even though you hung him up at age 33, you weren't done playing, because you then coached and was a player coach for the San Jose Oaks, and you are the last guy to win a U.S. Open Cup, which you did in 1992 in Indianapolis as a player coach for the Oaks. How did you like coaching, or was it just out of necessity, or how did you like it?
No, I loved it, and I did the Oaks, which I was very proud of. The whole Oaks scenario was a very good friend of mine, Andy Hewitt, is a local entrepreneur, owns a Britannia Arms Pubs. He wanted to put a good team together, and it timed upon the opportunity where there was nothing to do in the area football wise. There was no pro teams, and so the Santa Clara Broncos had just won the, I think it was 89 NCAA championship, and there was some wonderful players on that team. Baicho, I've mentioned, Paul Bravo, Eric Yamamoto, Stevie Robertson, Robert Gallo, Davey Palick. So many of them became the core part of what we put together with the Oaks team. There were some other players that, if there was a league, would have played pro, like Simon Ireland, Ray Aiken. We had a really good squad of players that dominated the scene here for a while, that was previously dominated by teams like El Fararito and the Greek Americans, who also won the Open Cup. And we put together an over 30 team, and we put together an open team. I was player coach of both teams, over 30 and open, but for some reason they wouldn't let me play in both teams in the finals. So I coached the over 30s and I played in the open.
You were cup tied, Chris. You were cup tied.
I was cup tied at the age of 62. I was cup tied.
So, and you've coached kids, obviously. Has that given you the most satisfaction of your post-playing career, is the next generation and harboring them as people harbored you when you were a youngster?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I was to reflect back on, and I don't think I'm done yet, but I've been involved in the growth of the game since I came over in 1975. I've enjoyed it from a playing perspective. All the memories, we touched upon a lot of those. Then I got involved with coaching, youth academy coaching. Then I got into the broadcasting side of it on the radio, and also for the last 12 or so years with NBC Sports Network locally here for the Earthquakes. That came to an end when Apple TV took over Major League Soccer, which is another long story. We won't get into that one. But if I was to look back on it and reflect upon that, I'm very proud that in some way I have helped the game continue to grow and get to the point where it is now, where there are players that are absolutely first-class players who are available for the U.S. national teams, that are playing on teams like AC Milan and Juventus and other teams around the world. And you just look at the youth programs that are now doing so well for the USA, and they will continue to compete at the highest level, and hopefully that will be reflected upon the World Cup when it comes here in 26.
Not bad for a kid from Colesville, Warwickshire, huh?
Exactly.
All right, Chris Dangerfield, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today, and it's been a great walk down memory lane with you, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come on today.
Thank you, Ken. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope that people continue to follow you and subscribe, because it's, as you can see, it's a wonderful walk down memory lane, and you're seeing interesting things. I mean, when you do watch that show, you've got to check out the coats that those announcers had on, the broadcasters. Yep. They are retro. Talk about retro. Fantastic stuff.
All right. That is it for this episode. Join us next time. We will take another modern look at a classic game in American soccer history. And as Chris so deftly plugged, without me even having to say anything, this might be the channel for you. We'd love it if you subscribed and give us likes and left comments and send us emails, all that stuff. And let us know if there's a game that you want to see us rewind to. Maybe you've got a game in the attic. We've got people who have sent games in that we're going to hope to get to, but if you got somebody you want us to interview, let us know. Send us an email. We would love to see those. So until then, I'm Ken Tomash. This is Soccer Rewind, and I'm reminding you to be kind and rewind.
Thank you very much. First of all, to Chris Dangerfield, congratulations on the hat trick.
Thanks very much. It's nice to get a hat trick. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, with using both feet, as I recall, too.
Yeah, but I was given a lot of space. Some great passing by our guys, and they were pushing forward and just made the best of the opportunities.
What does this do for Chris Dangerfield's psyche coming into the playoffs? Are you more confident now that you can do it?
Well, hopefully I'll be in the team next time we play, and it's nice to know you got a spot in the team. That's the main thing.
Well, you guys really moved the ball around well, and I thought the defense was sensational tonight, the team defense.
Oh, we couldn't have won if they had let 8 goals in. You know, they were tremendous. They pushed forward and created a lot of problems for their midfield and gave us a lot of space up front. We just played well as a team tonight.
Chris, you seem to take this game very seriously, although you had already had the playoffs made. What did the coach tell you before you started?
We take every game seriously. You know, in Rinus Mikkels, you can't take anything lightly. And we're trying to get a bit of momentum going for the playoffs, and hopefully we're going to go a long way.
Okay, Chris, let's turn to Johan here. A sensational game tonight, and your team really looks good getting close to the playoffs.
Yeah, because that's the most important thing, because I think the league we play here, you must see it like a warming up, because what's really counting is the playoffs. That's why maybe it's a little long preparation, but you must see it like a preparation.
Johan, did you know going into the game if there was a penalty kick that you would take it, or did that happen at the last minute?
Well, like I said last time, there were 3 who were going to take it. Like Leo missed it the other time, so there's 2 left, or Michael Carey or me.
So either one of you could have stepped up and taken it?
Yeah, so I took him.
What would happen in the playoffs? Would it be the first man to the ball then to take it?
Well, I think in the playoffs, or Michael Carey is going to take him. I think I scored a goal, so I think I'm going to take him.
What about this Aztec team now going into the playoffs? Do you think you are gelling now, coming together at just the right time of the year?
Well, we're getting better together, especially while we had about 9 new players in the team this year. This 7-1 is a little exaggerating. You must see the game until 3-1, because they were going and we were going. And after 3-1, they took all the risk to scoring goals to get more points. And that's why the 4 other goals, it's nice for the public, but it's nothing to do with the real game, what we were playing.
Tell us about the move you put on Jimmy McAllister for the first goal down here on the sideline. That looked like vintage Johan Cruyff working the ball.
The first goal we scored.
Yes, the one that you set up.
Well, I saw, normally I push the ball backwards, and I saw a big gap now, so I took him the other way around. And that's normally the moment when one of the forwards has got to go in.
Well, he certainly did. Thank you, Johan Cruyff and Chris Dangerfield, 5 of the 7 goals tonight, and good luck to you in the playoffs.
Thanks very much.